This is 365 Sports.
Keeps it, and he scores!
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Underneath, Smith gets to the corner. Money on the rise. Touchdown. Jeremiah Smith.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Johnson buys some time. There's the tight end again, rumbling towards the end zone, and the touchdown for Ezio.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? You're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Lubnick's going to take off. Lubnick with a touchdown.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
And here we go on a Monday afternoon. Hope you survived the weekend. Some of you probably with just absolute joy and excitement, and some, of course, disappointed. We'll get to a lot of that. Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina with me. And this is on David Smoak 365 Sports. We have a lot to get to. We will have Joey Maguire, head coach of Texas Tech, today at 4. We'll have Dan Wetzel at 4:25, and Phil Bennett will join us at around 5 o'clock. So, statement made. Texas Tech. You know what I loved about what they did? And, of course, BYU and Kalani Sitake might get a rematch. We'll see. It was a game that all you heard about, even though there were some offensive parts of the game that were good for Tech, it was a game that everyone I saw, heard, discussed it, always about the Texas Tech defense that dominated this game in every way. They have completely transformed themselves from a team that was totally reliant on scoring 40-plus points a game in their past successful iterations to one of the most physical, hard-nosed defenses in the country. And, you know, I know that the teams that are, and BYU's toughest part of the schedule, you know, started a couple weeks ago against Utah, continue with Tech, is on the next few weeks, because those are the toughest teams they're going to be playing. But and those opponents will try to copy Tech's defensive strategy of, we're not going to let Bear Bachmeier just haul off up the middle and beat us and kind of, you know, get 10 yards and extend drives and all that. I don't know if anybody else is good enough to do that up front like Tech is with Height and Hunter and Bailey and Jacob Rodriguez in the middle, who is a Gatwin, Zach Thomas, you name it, a hard-nosed linebacker from the state of Texas. He just fits right into that mold so well. And now, I mean, like, the biggest thing is stop letting Baron Morton get hit so hard. And if you can continue to do that, you're going to be in a great spot in the postseason.
Yeah, well, it's good to be here on a Monday. Shout out to chat, and hope everybody had a good weekend. And, yeah, that was a tremendous win for Texas Tech, and a game where there was no doubt left about who the better team was. I don't think there's a shred of doubt now left about who the best team in the Big 12 is. I think there was a question about that rolling in with BYU undefeated, and this big opportunity on both of their doorsteps, and Tech took full advantage of the opportunity and of the setting and the environment to have probably one of the greatest weekends. I mean, not probably, but certainly one of the greatest weekends in Texas Tech athletics history overall, but also related to the football program when you have college game day there and all of the exposure that came with having those guys around and pumping up your program, and then the spotlight on this game, and then the win being as one-sided as it ultimately was, with, yes, Tech's defense being the story of the game to the point of there being a Heisman campaign that's really actually on the tracks and in motion for Jacob Rodriguez, which we can talk about, at some point with the Heisman race. But, yeah, they were great on defense. I mean, that was the story of the game. Bear Bachmeier's been able to do some fun things and some magical things at times against others, but Tech was all over him, all over that run game. L.J. Martin was back, but clearly not fully 100% healthy. You'd rather have some version of him than no version of him, but it ultimately didn't amount to anything. They could not run the football on Tech. 3 turnovers for BYU were absolutely massive, where Tech protected the football. And Cameron Dickey was slicing and dicing there on the ground for the Red Raiders offensively, where they weren't great by any means, but they had enough popping on that side of the football to give them the advantage there as well. So, yeah, thorough, and I think a statement made, as you said, and just a really great win overall for that football program and for Joey Maguire. So this is what they spent that money this offseason for, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. You went and got Bailey. You went and got Heights. You went and got all these guys, Lee Hunter. You went and got Shield Wood, right? I mean, that was a big part of your offseason, and you're seeing the fruits of those investments paying off right now for Texas Tech, which is all you can hope for.
You know what's interesting? If I would ask you both, who had more sacks in this game? Who had more tackles behind the line of scrimmage in this game? It would be BYU. Mm-hmm. But Tech forced the 3 turnovers. They never gave BYU much chance to breathe. And some of that early on, Morton took a couple of bad sacks early on. But think about this. Tech wins 29-7. There was really never a doubt, even late in the second quarter, that Tech was in control of the game. But you always, okay, maybe, who knows? They dropped at least 3 touchdown passes and probably 4 or 5 others overall this could have been even worse. Hey, BYU will try to regroup and come back and get themselves back into position. Texas Tech, next man up, 1-0, all that. They have UCF, which, of course, they should dominate. Joey will join us today at 4 to look at the challenges they face now and look back at the weekend in Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah, I mean, Tech not only has this great defense, but they also are very explosive, and they hit the big explosives and missed on some, as you mentioned. But BYU not able to hit the explosive plays. Like normally they're able to get Chase Roberts or Parker Kingston on a big play, or, Bear Bachmeier with the big run. But Bear Bachmeier, 12 yards rushing. You have the longest play from scrimmage, as best I can tell, was 21 yards to Parker Kingston. You had also for Tech, 33, 43, 39, 37, all these massive plays that were popping off for Tech offensively. So, yeah, I mean, they were far more explosive. They were able to limit the big plays on the other side. And, yeah, the score wasn't always indicative of kind of how the game felt. They did leave the door a little bit open, but ultimately, yeah, there was no doubt about the end of the game about who the better team was, I feel like. And I think Kalani Sitake handled the postgame really well, handled the loss really well, and I think they'll bounce back and be okay. But, yeah, it's a wake-up – not a wake-up call, but it's a little bit of a reality check for BYU of like, okay, damn, we're we're not the best team in the Big 12, but we got some work to do to be that team still.
By the way, in the chat room, we know that there is an audio issue. We're working on that. So you don't have to say that anymore. We did it. We're working on it. We'll fix.
Just tell us what we need to do, guys, in a second here, and we'll continue rolling through the discussion here. But no, Craig, I agree with you. There are some troubling, minorly troubling things when you go through BYU. I mean, they had their opportunities early in the game to kind of keep pace. When they kind of gotten their sea legs completely yet, but ultimately at the end of it, Tech was just so good at knowing kind of what they were going to do and stop them at every turn. Yeah, I mean, they always had an answer for what BYU had planned, and again, just pretty thorough. I mean, 3 turnovers. You're right about the BYU defense being able to limit them somewhat, but they will get just enough out of that run game, and it was a great win for Texas Tech.
All right, so we have Texas Tech with the win. What does that mean with the odds to win the Big 12 Conference? We will look at the rest of the Big 12 Conference in this first hour as far as discussion with what's going on. Brandon, do we have the odds to win the Big 12 Conference? Please put that up. This is the latest. Texas Tech jumped way up, 57%. This according to PFSN College. BYU still right there in the mix. Cincinnati, double digits. And then you have a bunch of others who are trying to fight themselves back into it with ASU, Houston, Utah, TCU, and then, of course, TCU, Arizona, Baylor. Basically, there's a chance. You're telling me there is a chance. But Texas Tech has vaulted way ahead of everybody else combined with the 57.3%.
I can't believe that there's enough games left in the season for those bottom 3 to still be eligible.
They really don't.
I know, mathematically, I would think there wouldn't be, but it would have to be. That's why it's less than 0.2%. So.
Let's break. Can we break here? And let's break here and come back. We will get into the rest of is Indiana Cinderella? No. But are they a team of destiny? We'll look at what happened with Alabama winning against LSU. We'll also discuss A&M rolling yet again. Plus, we'll also look at Oregon and Iowa and the Big 12 schools and how they did over the weekend. We're not done. We'll continue to also discuss Texas Tech and their dominant win against BYU. And this is 365 Sports.
Go-to guy, can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
Golfballs.com carries the latest selection of golf balls, clubs, and gear from brands such as Titleist, TaylorMade, and Callaway. Golfballs.com remains the world leader in golf customization. And, of course, online at golfballs.com.
UBO Business Services. We are a studies-based service organization that is the best in Texas when it comes to copiers, printers, and scanners. The way we quantify that is through a company used by millions of corporations called Net Promoter Score. What Net Promoter Score looks at are your Google reviews. We have a better Net Promoter Score than H-E-B with a 65 and Ritz-Carlton Hotels with a 70. According to Net Promoter Score, if you're a 70 or above, you're considered world-class in customer service. UBO Business Services is an 86 when it comes to Net Promoter Score. You can find us at ubeo.com, ubeo.com.
You don't want to miss our best price deals during the Black Friday sales event at Allen Samuels. This month, you can save big on the truck you've been looking for, like the new Rams. Designed to be durable, functional, and stylish, Ram trucks give you that first-class feel. With premium options like luxurious leather trim seating, surround view cameras, and more. Luxurious leather trim seating, surround view cameras, and more online today. Great selection Allen Samuels or online today. On Samuels in Waco.
Come by, let's be friends.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, raise your cholesterol, and cause weight gain. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results. So if you're tired of being tired, call or go online at pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $165 a month, including lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, and follow-up visits, compared to $300 or more a month in Dallas or Austin. And you don't have to drive 90 miles one way or the other and fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T has board-certified physician consultations and will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone. Contact Petty Clinic Low T for increased energy, improvement in sexual desire and performance, mood, concentration, even a decrease in body and belly fat. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, pettycliniclowt.com.
It's football season, and we can create your outdoor tailgating spaces that is actually a part of your home. Bifold doors that tie in the inside and the outside, and you can gain anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 square feet living space, all while taking in the big game poolside. Call us at Gather & Co. Kitchen and Bath, where we can create your unique tailgating space.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Oh, good one.
100%. Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Gas floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Don't want to miss our best price deals during the Black Friday sales event at Allen Samuels. This month, you can save big on the truck you've been looking for, like the new Rams. Designed to be durable, functional, and stylish, Ram trucks give you that first-class feel. With premium options like luxurious leather trim seating, surround view cameras, and more. Shop our great selection in-store or online today. Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
WTX invites you to watch the Waco Veterans Day Parade, Tuesday, November 11th, hosted by McLennan County Veterans Association and the Stan C. Parker Foundation. Brought to you commercial-free by Allen Samuels Dodge.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Appreciate your patience in the opening segment with the audio issues. Everything better now? Everything sound okay? Let us know in the chat room. We do appreciate your feedback. And thanks to what Garrett and Brandon and Andrew were doing along with Logan to get that fixed. All right, so we did discuss Texas Tech and also BYU. Joey Maguire will join us live at 4 o'clock today. Real quickly on that game. I don't know. Sometimes you have such an atmosphere that you implode or you hyperventilate. It did not happen. Texas Tech was ready for the moment. I don't know if they could have had a better week of any kind of marketing and excitement all the way from the time they started getting in line around the stadium for tickets until they finished the win at the end of the game, and the win by 22 points against BYU.
It was, I mean, I don't know what could have gone better for them. I mean, they dominated the game, especially, you know, I've become impressed with Tech, you know, in these big, like Utah, BYU in particular kind of mirror each other to me in that early on in the game, you know, there's a little bit of, it was a bit of a tug of war. But then once they kind of get the momentum and they start doing it, they can really impose their will. And that's what teams that win big time in the postseason can do is they can just get on the field on both sides of the ball and you can't do what you want to do. And that's absolutely what happened the other day. And when you've got a crowd that's already is into it before anything good even happens, like the Red Raiders are, and then the starts building. My gosh, I mean that's just a tsunami of emotion in that building.
It crescendoed and then it got higher, if that's possible. Craig, the emotions there. We knew it'd be lit, and it was throughout the week, but it never died down. And Tech gave him no reason for them to stop being at the highest level they could be throughout the day.
They were,
blessed with a great opportunity, and they took full advantage of it. And that's all you ask for your program to do. And Joey Maguire is a smart guy. He saw that opportunity awaiting them and knew it would be a tough challenge, but they were ready for it. They took it head on, and they absolutely killed it. And they have every right to feel like they are right in the mix for, of course, the Big 12, but certainly that national championship race. And I know there's probably somebody scoffing somewhere, oh, they couldn't beat Bama or whatever, but you have a defense like they have. I think you're going to be in any type of a game, and there are some questions still about Texas Tech. They're not a perfect football team, and I think those questions are on offense, and I think those questions are at quarterback and just kind of how that would look going against a Georgia or a Texas or someone like that. But they have the defense, and they have the explosive playmakers to be in just about any game against just about anybody, and I think that's something that you're excited about. But, yeah, you're living and basking in this for probably another day or two. You still have 2 games remaining. You're not going to lose your next 2 games. I mean, you'd have to completely throw up all over yourself to lose to UCF or to West Virginia on the road. And I know going to Morgantown can be spooky, but come on now. They'd have no business losing either of those. So you're staring straight dead ahead at 11-1. Clearly in the championship game. I mean, I don't know what the scenarios are, but they practically booked it at this point. I know we just took a glimpse in that segment earlier, but yeah, I mean, it was a great day to be a Red Raider. That's for sure. A great weekend to be a Red Raider. It's a great time to be a Red Raider, and there's no signs of them slowing down.
All right, so there's that. And again, Joey will join us today at 4:00, and we'll talk more about Texas Tech and what it means, and also what it also means for BYU when we summarize the weekend elsewhere throughout the conference. And then there's Indiana. Are they a team of destiny? I don't think that's fair to say, because they were really good last year, made the playoff, and some thought, and then they have the drive against Penn State, who played really well, almost like you'd expect Penn State to play, especially at home and 100,000+ people. Fernando Mendoza, before the drive started, I'm watching the game with my son-in-law and my daughter and granddaughter, and I say, well, this could be a Heisman drive. I didn't know if they'd go 3 and out, have to, throw a Hail Mary. It doesn't mean it's over, but it was one of those that damn sure put him already near the top of the food chain, very much in play. And the Cooper catch with the balance and gravity was phenomenal. That will go down in history at Indiana sports, and also perhaps in college football too.
If he was a shoe size smaller, he probably doesn't get it. I mean, it was so unbelievable. It's one of the most unbelievable catches that you'll see all year. It's going to be an all-time moment in college football forever because of it. And some of the things that to me are Heisman moments are when you don't have your best game, which Mendoza did not. For the first part of that game. I mean, it wasn't like he was playing awful, but it wasn't peak Indiana. And then when you really need to be at your peak, at your best, you are. And he absolutely was on that last drive, just surgical all over the field. And the time was managed perfectly and everything. And, at Penn State, James Franklin's gone, but they still have they're looking a huge win in the face and still couldn't do it. I genuinely felt bad for them when Omar Cooper caught that ball.
They played the game about as well as they could, and it was still not enough because of what Indiana has on the offensive side, but they had to get the ball back, and Cignetti and company find a way, Craig.
That was one of the greatest plays you'll ever see. That's going into the College Football Hall of Fame ranks, no matter what Indiana does the rest of the season, just what it meant at the time. Certainly it's going to be in Indiana football lore for forever and ever. So very cool moment there for the Hoosiers, and obviously absolutely massive. It's something that we could be looking back on as a key moment in them winning a national championship. It could be a key moment in Fernando Mendoza being this year's Heisman Trophy winner, and it looks like right now it will be. Now, a long way to go as far as the title. Still some competition as far as the Heisman, but that play is going to be replayed thousands of times for the rest of time, and deservedly so, because it's one of the greatest catches I've ever seen, especially given the circumstances, and really just, no room for error whatsoever. I mean, even your toe being a little longer, and this is Indiana suffering their first loss and everything going down the drain for them as far as the big picture being in their control. So not their best game. The offensive line's been banged up a little bit. I think you saw Penn State getting to Mendoza and causing some chaos, and that was not something that Indiana's had to deal with regularly. Their defense didn't play all that well in comparison to how we've seen them play at their best, and it was a tough road environment, and they were still able to get a win despite all of that. So team of destiny, I don't know, play of destiny, it's as good of a candidate as any other. And at the end of the day, the Hoosiers are still right there in the mix and right there as one of the few remaining undefeated teams in the country. And that was just incredible drama, incredible theater, and that's college football at its finest right there.
You know, you see teams that are experience high altitude that they haven't in a long time. Texas Tech, Georgia Tech trying to get back in it. And then, of course, Indiana, there's one or two others. But Tricia Whitaker is she covers Major League Baseball for Apple TV. She's an Indiana alum. And she put this tweet up as Indiana was struggling and scratching and trying to figure it out. I used to watch IU football in peace because losing was guaranteed. Now we're undefeated and only up 3. This is during the game on Penn State, and I'm suddenly ill and pacing my living room. Can someone teach me how to emotionally manage a good football team when they hit a tad bit of adversity? And then, of course, they eventually had the drive to win the game on the throw from Mendoza to Cooper.
Here's the advice that pretty much everybody in this room can give, because all of our favorite teams, be it Baylor, LSU, FSU, Nebraska, Oklahoma, have been good to great at times. There's no way to manage it. There's no way to emotionally manage it, because once you've tasted like how good they can be, and you've seen those like dominant games, or even games where they're closer but they still kind of control it and win, you know, like one of those like 27-17 games, it's not really that close, but if one thing goes wrong but you're not really worried about it, those things are the things that get in your system and make you forget that football is hard. And so, like, then you watch a game when it is hard, and that all comes out. So, no, there's no way to deal with it.
Yeah, she put up a YouTube video or something earlier today about explaining what you meant, but they got the win. And, Craig, it is something that when you've not had to deal with it before, then all of a sudden everything like, oh, they're going to play so-and-so, lose 35-10. Go 6-6 maybe, hope to get to a bowl game. My God, we're ranked. And now they're in the middle of this thing and validating what they did a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, get used to it. I don't think Indiana's going anywhere for a while. I don't know that they'll be this good and have a Heisman quarterback and make incredible plays like the one we saw on Saturday to beat teams like Penn State year after year. But on a regular basis, it sure seems like they're set up to do just that so long as Curt Cignetti's in charge. And I think she better just, get used to it. It's kind of like the Aggie, Battered Aggie. Battered Aggie. I always think Aggie derangement syndrome, which there's that too, I think, probably. But battered Aggie syndrome, they don't quite have that, but it's similar in that, you're used to a certain kind of thing, but guess what? Get used to the other side of things, because you have a coach now who's taken you into new territory, somewhat uncharted territory, and there's no reason to not believe right now. There's no reason to feel like the shoe's going to drop. Now, I know some people cope with things by just go ahead and assuming the worst is going to happen, which I think a lot of Aggies are doing right now. They're setting themselves, we're totally going to lose to Texas and it's going to all fall apart. But I think you got to enjoy the ride. And so for Indiana, A&M, or whoever else is on this road right now looking as good as they are, I mean, enjoy every second of it, because it is, in her case, new, and you don't know when it's going to remain this way. You think it will. I assume it will with Cignetti and with Elko, but right now it's as good as it's been and as good as it may ever get. So, embrace it, enjoy it, and don't get freaked out by the nerves of it all, even though it's hard not to do that.
No question. Embrace it, enjoy it, and it's hard because then you start to get a little spoiled and then you get greedy, but that's okay too. So, Craig mentioned A&M, 9-0. They went into Columbia, Missouri, dominated that game from Sam Kahn. He'll join us, I think it's Thursday this week. Started 9-0 for the first time since 92. 6-0 in conference play for the first time since 98. That's the last time they won a conference championship. They beat K-State in the championship game. College football playoff virtually a lock at this point. What a year two for Mike Elko. They have South Carolina at home, Samford at home, and then, of course, the game in Austin against Texas. They are going into whoever they're going into, home or away, and they're taking over the game, and it's almost as if they are like a boa constrictor early on, and they just start to just squeeze you to death on both sides of the ball.
They will be 10-2 or better heading into championship weekend, which I don't know if that lands them in the championship game if they're 10-2 or not. Because they're going to beat Samford, and South Carolina and Texas are the ones that are, kind of up for grabs there. But if they're 10-2, 11-1, that's ridiculous. And then there's very likely they could be 12-0 because this is a damn good team. And they played sloppy in the first half against Missouri, especially penalty-wise. A ton of penalties. And that's actually been kind of a bugaboo for them all year long, yet they overcome, which is the sign of teams that can go deep in the playoffs, is that you make mistakes, you have bad quarters, you have bad halves, and it doesn't ultimately matter. You just fix it during the game.
If they go 10-2, then I don't know what the hell went wrong, because they have no business losing to South Carolina, who's on a massive losing streak right now. And I know week in and week out it's tough in the SEC, but South Carolina's not a great football team by any stretch, and I think that Texas A&M is a great football team. So you always roll the dice in conference play, but that game's at Kyle Field, so I'll repeat, they have no business losing that game to South Carolina. They should at most be looking at a one-loss possibly to Texas, but even then, if you roll into that game undefeated and know anything goes in that game, I still feel like you roll in feeling like you have the better team. So that'll be interesting, but I know you can't count your chickens before they hatch. So yes, all eyes on South Carolina coming up. Handle your business there at home, and I think you feel like the world is your oyster at that point. So I've just been so impressed by Mike Elko and the change in mentality that he's brought to College Station, and it's still a little bit of a fight. He has said again this past weekend, like, get out of your feelings, quit being scared, and sack up, basically, is what he keeps having to tell Texas A&M fans, because they're waiting for the shoe to drop. And I think he's done a great job so far in changing the mindset. They still have a bit of a ways to go. I think if you finish out this season, then the mindset will be fully changed, because there will be full proof of concept, but there's already plenty of proof that they are a different program from top to bottom in every way imaginable. Other than they still have talent. It's just the talent is so much better managed. It's such a better team overall. The program seems healthier. It's less controversial. It's less chaotic. He's just a damn good football coach, and he's the right guy at the right time at the right place to have a really good shot at a national championship, an SEC championship, and all the marbles.
Here is part of what you just said, both of you. So Texas Tech obviously has been amazing in the portal. And I said this after they beat BYU. You can go buy, you can go get, you can do however you want to acquire talent. You still have to put it all together and make sure it mixes. And that was one thing Jimbo Fisher could never really do. Had the one really good year in 2020. Sam Kahn, the 2024 portal class, 9 players are still on the roster and playing key roles. Elko and Miller did a terrific job of retooling a roster that needed more work than people realized. And then he did a story about it. Concepcion and Craver. A&M's had guys who have transferred in. They've had great recruits, etc. These two guys give them weapons, and they've had, what's his name, Christian Kirk. They've had but these two guys are so explosive that every time they touch the ball, either one of them, among others, they can go 50 yards and a touchdown.
They had a bunch of number 3 receivers in 2024. And when you watch their offense, and part of it was Marcel Reed as a passer wasn't there yet like he is now. He's gotten remarkably better since last year. But even still, you would watch the games and they didn't have that, oh crap, we missed a tackle on this guy. That's it. It's 60 yards. They didn't have the, you know what? We just need Craver, just go run straight. We're going to throw it to you and outrun the guy and go catch it. They didn't have that last year, and they do now. And of course, the biggest one, I think, or the third, little infinity stone there on the gauntlet for Mike Elko from that 2024 portal class is Cassius Howell, who came in last year from Bowling Green and is now just punishing quarterbacks as if they're like, he's on some sort of mission, like he's Blade and they're vampires. It's ridiculous.
And Torian York, the leader on defense, who continues to play at a great level too.
Yeah, he does. I mean, they're not a perfect football team. They still have, a weakness here and there. I think they've been prone to give up a big play. They're still, what would you say, susceptible in the run defense at times.
I think they're so aggressive. They get upfield really fast. Right. And then, you saw the first play of the game for Missouri on offense was Ahmad Hardy went 43 yards. Right. If Bro Prabula's playing in the game, that probably follows up with a big pass on the other end or another kind of big play. They are susceptible to the big play, and they're susceptible to the running quarterbacks. And it's because they are athletic and aggressive, and they get past it sometimes. But, they're very susceptible to it.
Well, there was a clip from the game, the post game, and it was really interesting. Eli Drinkowitz was asked about a comment he had made in the week leading up to the game where he was talking about, I'm trying to remember, it was like all the different exotic ways that Texas A&M challenges you and blitzes you and throws things at you. And he went on to ask the reporter, he's like, well, how much time do you got to explain how they handled it? And the reporter's like, go for it. And he talked for a minute and a half or 2 minutes on precisely the chess match that was going on of we did this and we got him there and then they shifted this and then he went back and forth. It was just really interesting to listen to. If you just love football talk and the chess match of it between two teams, it was a really interesting clip from Eli Drinkowitz, which was nothing but praise for A&M and Mike Elko. Again, they're not perfect. They are susceptible to giving up the big play here and there, and maybe that costs them eventually, but they are sitting there without many weaknesses whatsoever. Nobody's perfect. You can look at Alabama and say, well, they could do this better. You could look at anybody and say they could do this or that better. But A&M is definitely one of the better-looking teams in the country right now, and they have every reason to believe that they can be the one hoisting that trophy at the end of the year.
So they go into Columbia and just take care of business, and now South Carolina at Kyle Field. You mentioned Alabama. Well, let's discuss them too. A little note about them. They beat LSU. And at times that game it seems like that's been LSU's year. At times at that game, they're a play or two away, but they just can't sustain anything. Alabama wins. They beat LSU. But here's a stat that has to be concerning to Kalen DeBoer. Alabama running backs rank 129th in yards per rush right now out of 134 teams at 3.9. In first downs per rush, 15.5%. Ty Simpson, I feel like we're not very confident that we can run the ball very well right now, and it's all mental, really. Of course, Miller, and I just went blank at the other running back, they're kind of like they're effective, but they just don't seem like they have anybody that can go pop one, which you need to do. But they're winning, and remember how they started and where they are now. And, of course, Alabama has Oklahoma coming up this weekend.
Alabama's issue on offense, I think this is their thing, is if you need a first down on 2nd and 3 or 3rd and 2 and they want to run the ball, they can get that for you. They cannot line up and run the ball like some of the other teams that are good, like Georgia and A&M in particular, that they could be facing down the line, in that they can turn around and, A&M can run the ball 17 times in a row. So can Georgia, and they can just kind of wear you down. Bama can't do that. Bama can't just turn and say, all right, this drive is going to be us grinding this defense into dust. They cannot do that. Now they have amazing big play wide receivers and a great quarterback in Ty Simpson, which allows them to not have to worry about this as much. But I do wonder in the postseason if it's going to kind of come into play with whoever they have a matchup with, if they have a lead that they can't really grind down because they're just not good at this part of the game this year and haven't been all year.
I mean, this is a fun game if you love field goals. A lot of field goals in this game. But then again, I don't know how much people heard at the start of the show, and I didn't mention at the time, but I mean, Texas Tech had quite a few field goals as well, to BYU's credit, not giving them a bunch of points in the end zone necessarily. But in this game, a lot of field goals. LSU tried to give it their best effort, but just not a lot doing offensively. I'll be interested to know what Garrett thinks about Garrett Nussmeier, just because there's so much hope and promise coming into this season. It's been very up or down. Now, look, he's not totally at fault, but there's also moments, and there's very clearly a play from Saturday night where he's trying to roll away from a sack, but he rolls straight into a dude and gets clobbered, and everybody's pointed that about like a lack of pocket awareness and just one of the added-on complaints of of the game on Saturday. But Garrett, how do you feel about the LSU offense, Nussmeier, and granted they're in a transition period here, but coming out of Saturday night, how are you feeling?
I don't feel good about it, man. Like, I don't think he's been himself all year. I think coming into the season, it was really concerning from an LSU standpoint of the offensive line being able to hold up, losing so much talent, and they just haven't been able to, right? And Nuss does not look comfortable. He looks like he's trying to win it all on his own. He doesn't look like he has confidence in the rushing attack, which I understand. They cannot run the football whatsoever. But, man, like, I think that that drive you're talking about where he turned into the tackle, that was back-to-back sacks, then that, and then Nick Anderson tearing his knee on the same drive. Like, it was one of the worst possessions of offensive football that imaginable. But, he doesn't look the same. I think that all the talk going into about his stock and how that was going to pair with him going into the NFL draft, like, I don't even know realistically how teams approach or evaluating him right now, man.
Me neither.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he was like the number 1 draft pick at the start of the year. Archer's winning the Heisman, and like none of that stuff's happening. But I mean, give credit to Alabama. Ty Simpson, I give him a ton of credit. He's been great, and that was a fun, low-scoring SEC-like style game, but not so fun if you were an LSU fan. Yeah. And Alabama has their own weaknesses like anybody else, and theirs right now is very much that run game, not popping the big plays you would like to see on a regular basis.
119th in rushing offense. That's just unheard of with Alabama. By the way, you said low-scoring. We'll touch on this quickly and move on. Come back and look at the Big 12 and more, and also the story involving Baylor Athletic Director Mack Rhoades. But they won. Oregon won 18-16. Iowa, it doesn't matter how good you are, what you do on offense or whatever, plus the weather was just very much around the country. It was nasty. They sucked you into how they play. Sometimes people just jump on them and they can't do anything about it. That game was Iowa football, A, B, C through Z. And Oregon, they themselves punched back with what they could do on defense, and they found a way to survive to keep their hopes alive. And Iowa, pretty good, but 18-16 the final, and the Ducks go into Iowa and win that game.
So towards the end of game day when they did their picks, I turned it on, and I had watched most of it because it was in Lubbock, but Kirk Herbstreit almost nailed it.
Yep.
He said it's going to be 16-15 Iowa, and then it was 16-15 Iowa, and I flipped over to the game, and I'm watching Oregon, get down and just do enough to get into field goal range, and I thought, dang, that was prescient there. But yeah, Iowa's tough, man, and they just, they have that attitude. I wish they could get to a point of when they play teams like Oregon, they can score with them. That's just not. I mean, they made Oregon play their game today, but man, this week. But yeah, that was almost would have been probably tragic for Oregon season had they lost that game.
I mean, yeah, it would have been pretty tough. I mean, Iowa's been scoring more than they I mean, this is not like the typical they score 15 points a game.
Yeah,
like they've been good. Yeah. I think both teams struggled because of weather, and they were also playing pretty good defenses. I think, it was somewhat playing into Iowa stylistically, but they're not the same. Like, they'd be lucky to score 10.
They're not. I just think that when they play when they play those teams in good weather, they don't normally score.
Yeah, it was the weather for both teams. It was a low-scoring game, and so I think, they fell into Iowa's trap of how that game would go perfectly for an Iowa upset is what the point I was getting at. Even though Iowa's been able to score more, that was the way for them to beat Oregon, and that was just them scoring too early. I think you couldn't really play it out and say, well, let's leave 30 seconds on the clock if we're Iowa, but the moment they scored and you saw there's like almost 2 minutes still left, I was like, oh, damn, they're going to lose this game. Maybe they come up with a pick or something, but there was just a lot of time left on the clock, and to Dante Moore and Oregon's credit, they were able to get a couple big plays and move down the field and get into field goal range pretty quickly. So great win for Dan Lanning and the Ducks, and that would have definitely changed the trajectory of their season. I don't know if they would have been out of the playoff entirely with a second loss, but they'd be right on that line of making it or not making it, and what a win that would have been for Iowa. But instead, the Ducks are 8-1. They went on the road and got a huge one, and Now they've got a couple of big games still remaining as far as ranked teams go, but they're in a good spot, and that one was almost the upset of the weekend.
They ran for 261 yards against that Iowa defense.
Well.
They did win the game 18-16. And
special teams
Herb
too.
Street said it would be 16-15, a last-minute second field goal, and Iowa had that, but they couldn't finish it out. When we come back, let's look at the Big 12 over the weekend. Who is still alive? How many teams have become bowl eligible? And which were the games that stood out to you after you maybe had to smoke a cigarette after that game between Tech and BYU that had so much buildup and hype, and then the moment and all the crazy atmosphere in Lubbock, Texas? This is 365 Sports. PettyClinicalOT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be. And 1 out of every 3 to 4 men, maybe you, have symptomatic issues of low testosterone. Your energy, you just don't feel right. And it's not because you're sick. It's not because you haven't, been active. It's not because something's wrong. You don't feel right. It even might affect your sleep habits. You're kind of tired, but then you're not sleeping well. Your testosterone level can affect all of that. And yes, also your sex drive and all that goes with that. Dr. Kent Petty, contact him, PettyClinicalOT.com. Tell him I sent you, and maybe give the symptom or 3 that you have that you're not so sure about. They will set up an appointment. You will give blood. He will get the results, get back with you. And if your testosterone level is too low, he could put you in a program so you can become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be at PettyClinicalOT.com.
I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
No car payments for 90 days when you bring your auto loan home to Genco. Get 4.79% for 48 months and make no payments until 2026. Plus, get entered to win 3 months of no car payments. Bring your auto loan home to Genco. Lower your interest rate, save money, and no payments until 2026. For details, go to GencoFCU.org.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Texas Tech dominated the headlines, and so did that game with BYU most of the week, but there were other games in college football in the Big 12 that happened as well. 9 teams are now bowl eligible. 9. Tech, BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, Utah, Arizona and Arizona State, TCU, and Iowa State had a nice win this past weekend, and there's still 5 teams in the mix that can get to 6 wins and get to a bowl game. Which one outside of that one? I know there's a couple of others. You guys, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll pick a game. You guys discuss it. We'll chew it up, spit it out, and then go from there. But obviously, the Big 12, they're really getting the great attention that you wanted with what happened with the college football playoff. There's no doubt about that. And now Texas Tech will move up a notch or two, you would think, in the college football standings. But let's get to the Big 12 from the weekend.
We'll see. Every opinion I saw was how this win basically ensured the Big 12 will have one playoff team, which I think is too early to say that, but we'll see the rankings tomorrow night. I get that now BYU would maybe get their loss versus Tech avenged, but that would give Tech 2 losses. And it's funny how, like, 2 losses is a death penalty for them. But for others, it's like 2, and they're still just like they're higher ranked in the playoff. And it's just, it's this strength of schedule thing that basically, and I'm not fully anti-SEC. The team I root for is in it, but they very much rigged the strength of schedule argument to their advantage. Not rigged as in nefariously, but they definitely massaged it to their advantage, politicked it to their advantage. And you're going to see that come into play when it comes to a second Big 12 team. So I'm just telling you right now, even with BYU losing their first game, there's already people ready to toss them out of the boat.
After the 11 o'clock games, if you had that opinion, I would maybe say, like, well, okay, there's more merit to that at 2:30 p.m. By the time the day was over, the Big 12 actually had their chances increased to get 2 playoff teams in due to the fact that the ACC absolutely lit theirs on fire.
Yes, but they've got like a handful of teams that are in the mix that are all right there, deadlocked, gridlocked together, which that's going to separate itself. But I'm telling you, I'm not so much worried about the ACC. I'm worried about the 5th SEC team or the 5th Big 10 team that feel like they are in a more a luxurious position than the second team in the Big 12.
I heard it, saw it, read it, and we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow night, and then the week after that. Utah, with the 2 losses, is still very much involved, and then teams that might still get to the Big 12 championship game might knock somebody else out that maybe the committee looks at as, no matter what, hey, we still like them, no matter where we are. But there is going to be, I saw a list of like what could be 6 teams in the SEC are 10-2 and better.
Right.
6.
I think the problem for Utah is that they've lost to the 2 teams, BYU and Texas Tech. And those are the ones that are ahead of them, and those are the ones that are going to be really hard to pass because I don't see Tech losing a game. And quite frankly, for BYU, double-checking their schedule, okay, TCU, I don't really, whatever. At Cincinnati might be interesting, but I think BYU's got to feel pretty confident about what's remaining for them as well. So we'll see tomorrow night, but I see that narrative developing of like, oh, well, this just ensured the Big 12 is only going to have 1, and I don't know.
I think that they're going to end up with 2, but of course you never know if somebody slips on a banana peel and screws everything up. Okay, Iowa State, I thought outside of what Tech did, Iowa State has been in a free fall, and they win. They go into Fort Worth and beat TCU, a gutty game. They win 20-17 because, I was wondering, are they going to not even make a bowl game? They win 20-17.
Yeah, a really good and unexpected win for them. That was an atrocious, god-awful loss for Sonny Dykes and TCU. I mean, they are so just there this year and really the last couple of years that if they had more coverage, maybe we could get a pulse for them. But there's literally, of all the teams in the Big 12, like the least amount of coverage, I think, revolving around TCU. Like, it's hard to find, outside of, like, Steven Johnson at the Star-Telegram, like, much of anything about them in terms of, like, kind of talk. And so I don't know what the pulse is there on campus, but I would be so pissed if I was a TCU fan losing this game at home to an Iowa State team that's lost 4 straight. But Iowa State had the big fourth quarter comeback, the big special teams touchdown, and credit to the Cyclones for sticking in the fight and landing the big blows late in the fourth quarter, because that decided this game. It was a very low-scoring, pedestrian kind of game until that fourth quarter got wonky, and the Cyclones emerged with the victory.
TCU losing that game at home and on the road, as you mentioned a minute ago, against BYU coming up with their next game. Paul, West Virginia 29, Colorado 22. Our good friend Joey Foster said, hey, if they can retain most of their roster, there's something brewing at West Virginia at Morgantown.
Well, I think this is, the last 2 weeks is Rich Rodriguez and getting the guys, vibing a little bit. Colorado and Juju Lewis's first start. I mean, I'm not surprised you lose a game like that, but he was fine. I mean, he was, 22-35, almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, they can't run the ball. And when you have a freshman quarterback, that helps. West Virginia didn't do a great job of doing it on their own, but they did it better, and they played better defense all along the way. And the vibe in Morgantown is just better than the vibe in Boulder right now. Colorado,
they're done. They're out. They can't go to Boulder.
Yeah, this is a lost season for Colorado in several regards. I know that a lot of coaches don't like to look at it, but look, you're not going to a bowl. Now focus on getting Juju Lewis as ready and better for next year as you can, and see what the future holds, because you're going to get, obviously, Pat Shurmur, not the offensive coordinator there, or calling the plays there anymore. We didn't get to talk about that on Friday because we didn't have a show, but that's the first step of several that I think they're going to make in order to spruce up this team. But, yeah, I like what I saw from Scotty Fox, too.
Arizona, Craig, beats KU 24-20. KU just kind of seems to be treading water, so to speak. Nice win for, of course, Coach Brennan and company.
Yeah, I mean, Scotty, I'll just touch on that real quick. I mean, he had a couple picks. They had 3 turnovers in that game and still beat Colorado. I think that's the kind of stat that's really damning for Deion Company, is you won the turnover battle and still lost the game, of one of just many numbers that you could look at. Their total lack of a running game haunting them still, and we'll see if they ever get that going. But, yeah, as far as KU goes, I think there's real heat on Lance Leipold right now. I think there's people that think that maybe he's not so sturdy there in Lawrence, or maybe he's peering around at some of these other jobs. I see scuttlebutt about that. I don't know how realistic that is, but yeah, this is a massively disappointing season for them. Now, they went on the road and lost to Arizona. So what? I mean, there's no shame in that, but a really entertaining game there towards the end, and a really good win for Brent Brennan and company to now get bowl eligible. That was a win that they don't get last year, certainly. And I think to go and score in the fourth quarter, to get that lead and hold on to it, and to get bowl eligible is a big step forward for the Wildcats.
Talk about a win that they needed. Houston, my goodness, that thing was back and forth. It looked like Scott Frost and company was going to come up with a win, but Willie Fritz, they find a way. It was not pretty, but they won. They're 8-2. After the loss to West Virginia at home, they go into, of course, Orlando and beat UCF by 3.
That space game is going to be one that we're never going to be able to peg. It's been weird a lot of the time, but
not really. They always win the space game. Yeah. It's the first time they've lost the space game. If I
no, UCF was 8-0 or something like that, and I mean, like by average point spread of a lot in that series. So they get the win, Houston does.
Yeah, so, yeah, Houston, I think this just kind of shows that they have some grit to them. Defensively, shut out UCF in the fourth quarter and got what they needed. But I'm sure not one that they want to look back on and say, like, oh, wow, that one was fun. That second quarter defensively was awful for them.
Scott Frost was atrocious in this game in multiple ways. I think coached them out of a win in some cases. So, yeah, that's a double whammy to not only lose, but to lose at home and to lose the space game for the first time. I still think there are some positives to glean from UCF, but this is a game that feels like a little bit of a step back. It was a fun kind of fun scoring game early on in the first half, but UCF with just too many blunders and mistakes, and a really nice win for Houston, who's a bit up and down in their own right. I don't know that they're like 8-2 is a pretty damn good record, and I still have my reservations about Houston, but they're 8-2. They're 8-2. So Willie Fritz and company, I figured they'd go out on the road and get that win, and they did, and good for them.
Well, okay, I said 9 teams are bowl eligible. Baylor has 5 wins, so does KU. West Virginia, UCF, and Kansas State each have 4. By the way, the following teams have surpassed their win totals from last year by a total of 11 wins. Let me see, who was it? Arizona, Cincinnati, Houston Tech, and Utah have all already surpassed the win total from where they were at this time, or at all throughout all of last season. We're going to get into Baylor and Michael Trigg and Mack Rhoades and all that story. We're not going to do it now because Joey Maguire's around the corner. We will get to that. Dan Wetzel at like 4:25, and then Coach Bennett will join us today at 5. I think Texas Tech's 9 wins by an average of 33.2 points per game. Every win has been 22 points or more, and Utah's margin of victory is 36.4. Of course, Texas Tech spanked them up in Salt Lake City. When we come back, Joey Maguire, head football coach at Texas Tech, and more. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Every day you give us what you can, which is your time and our access to you. This is 365 Sports. The Baylor Club inside McLean Stadium on I-35 in Waco. And, yeah, they have a game. Baylor does Utah this weekend. It's at McLean Stadium on Saturday. But the Baylor Club is so much more than being inside the stadium on game days. That's, what, 6 or 7, maybe, I think, maybe one time, 8 times a year. They are a club where you could get fine dining, great food. It could be something you get a brunch, or something you have with a client or a friend or family that you have a brunch, breakfast, lunch, and or dinner. And they have memberships available. Tell them 365 Sports sent you. The Baylor Club inside McLean Stadium also can host whatever you're going to do, whether it's a small group or a large group, whether it's your office or family, for what you want during the holidays, maybe even a party that you host with those who are your employees, and of course they'll cater it, set that up for you. The Baylor Club, Nick Colwell, the general manager, redone in the last 2 or 3 months. It is fantastic inside. The Baylor Club, memberships available inside McLean Stadium off I-35 in Waco.
Struggle with chronic foot and joint pain, and many face mobility limitations as they age. But a revolutionary Comfort First slipper has taken the wellness world by storm. Try Cloud Slides and feel you are walking on the clouds. Cloud Slides.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code SPORTS365 to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code SPORTS365. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Must be 18 and up. 19 and up in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 and up, and in Colorado for some games, 21 and up in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And must be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
We start this 4 o'clock hour with Joey Maguire, great friend of the show, Texas Tech football coach with us. Can you hear us okay, Joey? You good?
I can't hear y'all.
Oh, they cannot hear us.
I got my guy that hopefully help me out.
Okay, we'll get that. We can hear you. You just can't hear us, so we'll try to get that fixed up. We'll have Dan Wetzel from ESPN at 4:25, and then Phil Bennett again will join us a little bit after 5.
While he can't say anything about it, let's just make up stuff about him that he can't respond to.
No, he can.
No. I mean, he can hear it, but he can't say anything about it. I mean, he can just gesticulate. No, I wouldn't want to do that to one of the dear friends of our show.
No, you won't. So we'll try to. By the way, one of the Big 12 note, we didn't get to it in the last segment. Dylan Edwards, according to Matt Zenitz, the running back, Colorado, K-State, is set to enter the transfer portal. This thing has been like an all-season-long drama that started almost from the beginning of this year.
It's not surprising. I mean, there was speculation this was going to be the case when he was missing time earlier at the year. You just didn't know if it was pure rumors pulled out of somebody's rear or if there was actually some legs to it. And turns out there was some legs to it.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that's definitely an interesting move for Chris Kleiman's program to lose a player of that caliber. I'm sure we'll be hearing more.
Been one of those years, and it happens. We're now joined by Joey Maguire, head coach at Texas Tech. Good to have you, Coach. Thank you very much for your time. Who was the most famous person? Oh, by the way, you won. Congratulations. Who was the most famous person that you might have met that you had never met before, maybe throughout the weekend?
Oh, my gosh, man. Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that, man. You know, of course, I mean, I'd met Pat, and it was great that Pat was here. And I'd met Coach Saban in 2004 in Cedar Hill whenever he was at LSU. It was the first time I'd met McAfee, and that was I saw him in 19 whenever he did the belly flop on game day, Baylor versus OU. But that's the first time I'd met him, and you know, I listened to that show and I listened to Barstool, you know, just kind of hear what they're talking about college football, and that was really cool to meet him.
Coach, you have transformed the attitude of this team from a team that was historically, you got to score 40, and then everything else is let the chips fall where they may. Now you have bare-knuckle brawlers. That is very much like the you I know from Cedar Hill and from Baylor and on and on. How does it feel to finally kind of have that flip this year? Because we know you've been working on getting that attitude there installed at Tech.
Man, it's awesome, but it's really funny because I'll have, I mean, even Dowdy, Matt Dowdy, who y'all know very well.
Yep.
You know, he's used to, like, he's even said, he was like, man, I'll get so nervous, you know, during the game, and then I remember we got a defense, and so they're really not used to the way we're winning right now. At the end of the day, I don't care how we win, I just want to win. But it is nice to be able to play defense and be a physical football team, you know, and different times we haven't played well, you know, sometimes on the one side of the ball, but, you know, we've kind of got out of whack. And that defense just kind of steadies everything and allows us to stay in games. And then, you know, you start just imposing your will as the game goes on. And, you know, that's happened every week but one. You know, when we got beat by a really good Arizona State team.
Coach, a lot of that is obviously talent, but you also hired Shiel Wood. I mean, to kind of flip that mindset. I know you've talked about why you hired him, but what have you seen since you've hired him, and how much of him instilling that mentality is part of that success, and how did he go about doing that?
Man, he's amazing. And it's so much fun to listen to. He coaches our inside linebackers. So that's Jacob Rodriguez, Ben Roberts. John Curry is a strong safety, but he kind of goes in and out of the safety room and the linebacker room. And so it's so much fun to listen to those guys talk about Coach Wood and his mentality. Cole Wisniewski put it best last week whenever he was on our radio show. You know, he said he starts with effort. Like, everything starts with effort. He does an effort tape that these guys are fighting and clawing to get on. And then what I love about him, it's very A to B to C, and you can't go to B unless you have A. Like, everything connects. And the last thing, he takes it very personal. Like, he took the Arizona State loss as hard as any coach that I've been associated with. And, you know, that shows how much it means to him and how much he cares about these players. And they play for him. They play really hard for him.
I heard Coach Saban during game day, and maybe it might have been even Friday, and I know you appeared on the McAfee show. When a game like that has so much emotion, so much buildup, and you even did this when you were at Cedar Hill and you were a part of it with that 21 team for half the season, you get so over-modulated you forget to play the game on Saturday. Was that ever a doubt for you last week?
If it wasn't for guys like Jacob Rodriguez, Baron Morton, Lee Hunter, Romello Height, David Bailey, going on and on with, man, we're an old football team. Like, we have the two true sophomore running backs, Cam Dickey and Jacoby Williams, and then we have Jacob Ponton, who's a redshirt freshman. Those three are the young guys, and then everybody else are 4 or 5, fifth-year guys in college. And so, man, they understand what we're trying to do, and they hold everybody accountable. I was nervous about it, but, you know, every single day I just said, guys, we're going to miss the mark and the opportunity if we don't make it about the football. And you could tell that morning when we got up and we did our first walkthrough that they were going to make it about the football.
The offense this week was a lot of field goals, Joey. In a game like that, where you know that, you know, one mistake you make on defense and they can kind of get that momentum back. Until you started kind of getting some of those big offensive plays, what was the pit in your stomach like when you've got to be like, this one's ending a field goal again?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking. I'm always nervous. I try not to let the players see it and feel it. I try to be the exact same, but that was such a big game. And, you know, we've been in some games to where we thought we were about to turn the corner, and, you know, and we didn't, you know, and we couldn't get it done, or it was, you know, like last year against Colorado, it was big noon and we came out on fire, and then we just couldn't hold on and made too many mistakes. And, you know, I felt that our defense was going to let our offense settle in. But, you know, right now, that's one thing. If you ask Mack Rhoades, our offensive coordinator, we're getting down in the red zone. We're just not putting the ball in the end zone. And that's something that we have to correct if we're planning on playing in the Big 12 championship and beyond. We've got to be better in the red zone.
Coach, there was the injury to Quinn Joyner at the beginning of the year, and I know you felt confident about your guys, but seeing Jacoby Williams and then Cameron Dickey obviously on center stage there on Saturday, what have been your thoughts about how they stepped up? And I know you're going to rely on them to some extent, but particularly just kind of the focus being on those two guys. What have you made of what you've seen of them?
Man, I'm really proud. There was a moment, Taj Brooks, we had a lot of players return. Taj Brooks was here, Tyree Wilson, Caleb Rogers, had a ton of guys, and Taj was on the sideline, and Cam Dickey ripped off a big run, and Taj was like really right over my right shoulder, and I turned to him and I said, bro, that was because of you, because he was such a mentor to them as true freshmen, and now they're true sophomores and they're carrying a heavy load. I mean, Jacoby Williams leads the Big 12 in all-purpose yards. and Cam Dickey's second, and then Cam Dickey leads the Big 12 in touchdowns. And so having two true sophomores play at the level they're playing at, and then it is so cool to see one of them score and the other one react to the one scoring. I mean, they're the two each other's biggest cheerleaders whenever good things happen, and they know how we're going to use them, and they're both going to get used throughout the game, and they know their role, and they're playing at a really high level.
You know, you mentioned Jacoby Williams, a young man from Beckville, Texas, Deep East Texas. There's been a lot of great players that have come out of there. He had 143 combined touchdowns in high school. Now, there are some schools that wouldn't look at Beckville. They're diamonds in the rough throughout that area. You know that. I know that. Tell me the story about recruiting Jacoby Williams and how that came about.
Yeah, it's a great story because of the person that called me. So Andy Evans, who was the head coach at Tatum, won a state championship at Tatum, and just a tragic moment in his life whenever his son passed away, his oldest son passed away, and he was going through a lot. He's a really good friend of mine, and he did a lot for me whenever I was at Cedar Hill. He kind of stepped away from coaching, and he got back in at Beckville almost, just as a mentor and coaches some lower levels. He called me. He said, "Joey, I got this little freshman here at Beckville, and he's the best I've ever seen in space. He's so explosive." And then he said, "This kid's saving my life because of his spirit." And he said, "You're just going to fall in love with him." And so we actually offered him whenever I was there at Baylor. And then he was one of my first offers whenever I got the job at Texas Tech. We recruited our tail-off for him, and it was really cool. I mean, we lost the game, but Coach Evans and his wife came out and watched Jacoby at Arizona State, and he calls him Pawpaw. They're just so close, and they care so much about each other. But that's how we found him, and I just trusted a high school coach that knows what it looks like. And man, he's been so good for us. I'll tell you a funny story. My son, Garrett, coaches the running backs, and we had campers all week. I mean, it started on Sunday, and they called it Raiderville, and they were doing population. The population got over 2,000 in Raiderville, and Garrett goes, "Man, I think Raiderville is bigger than Beckville."
It is.
So that was pretty funny. And Jacoby, man, he loved that. He thought that was the best thing in the world whenever Garrett told him that.
Cody Ross and Andy Evans called me one time about him, and just to let me know about some stuff I was doing for postseason awards. So it's a really cool story about what you brought up there. Paul?
Coach, how do you, after, a game, you got some time, how do you keep the guys focused on the cliche one game at a time, and not, man, that was a big win against BYU, we've got 10 wins under our belt and all that, and not jumping and fast forwarding through November?
Yeah, one, we're trying to do something that's never been done here. So you know that you've got that in your pocket. But, I was searching for that answer moments like walking off the field. I was already thinking of that. And I go in the locker room. I was one of the first ones in the locker room, and Jacob Rodriguez is in there. And I come over and I give him a big hug, and I said, "I'm so proud of you." And his words to me were, "Coach, that wasn't our goal other than to go 1-0. Our goal wasn't to beat BYU at the beginning of the year. It was just to go 1-0. And he said, "So just remember that, because we got a whole lot more things in front of us." When he said that to me, I was like, man, okay, I'm going to let him do it for me. So yesterday during their lift, before we had our team meeting, he talked to the team and just reminded them what's in front of us. And so we're really lucky to have old vets that are not afraid to speak up and hold each other accountable. And there's some guys that are really driven right now to do something that hadn't been done here.
Yeah, you've got some young talent, obviously, but, man, you've got a lot of veterans, a lot of older guys that are really like the guys you brought in the portal, but then Rodriguez coming back. I mean, it's definitely paying dividends for you. And speaking of Jacob Rodriguez, I mean, I don't know how legit the Heisman talk was when it kind of started trickling and bubbling up there in the beginning, but, Man, it feels like there's actually something to it. I don't know if the committee takes notice of it, but it sure seems like a lot of people around the country are going, yeah, hell yeah, why not? Jacob Rodriguez for the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, I've said this. I said this the other night. I want to say it again. I don't want to disrespect any player. I just want him to be. He should be talked about. Like, the reason that I say, you look around and like last year, I really felt like there's a no-brainer. Travis Hunter, he's a generational player. What he was doing on both sides of the ball, and you can look in the past and see different players, and you're like, oh yeah, that's the Heisman Trophy winner. I think the Indiana quarterback is playing at such a high level, and what a play at the end of the game to beat Penn State. And you look at Ohio State's quarterback and what he's doing, and I know they've got a couple of defensive players. But I feel the same thing about my linebacker. Whenever you look at him, what he's doing at that position hasn't been done a lot of times. I mean, the guy's knocked out he's forced 7 fumbles. He's got multiple interceptions. He recovered a fumble the other day. He's playing at such a high level, and then his story is a great story of perseverance, and it's great for college football. So it's like we've said all year long, one of our mantras has been, why not us? Well, I say the same thing about Jacob Rodriguez. Why not him? Why not at least get him in the conversation and then see if they'll invite him to New York, and whether he wins it or not, he's definitely worth the talk and the trip there to be a part of it.
It is my biggest pet peeve with Heisman voters, Coach, that they narrow in on 3 positions when, a linebacker, an offensive lineman, a defensive tackle. Look, I think Ndamukong Suh should have won the Heisman Trophy, because he was, if you watched any game, there was no answer he was the best football player in the country, and that's what the award is.
Agreed.
It's just that they get into these statistics when sometimes you're just going to watch the film and go, you know what, I know that this quarterback's good, but maybe this linebacker keeps ending drives before the other team wants him to, and maybe he's the best player on the field today.
No, I totally agree. I think that Ndamukong Suh should have won it. And then, I look at it, it's supposed to be for the best college football player. And whenever you start looking at statistics of what people have done, you got to look at like, well, that's been done before, or that's been done before. Some of the stuff that Jacob Rodriguez is doing hasn't been done before, and especially at the level he's doing it. We're not even through. I mean, we still have 2 regular season games. I mean, there's a good chance he's in double digits of causing fumbles and turnovers and everything. And so I think that's something that we've got to look at, because he's definitely played as good as anybody in the country position-wise.
Joey, it's still a stat that's staggering to me that the 2008 team, when they had Tech and Texas and Oklahoma, had that 3-way jungle, so to speak, when it came to the tiebreakers, and OU got in with the BCS, that Texas Tech has not won or even played for a Big 12 title since it began in '96. How much is that ever even brought up, or has an itch that everybody wants to scratch?
We don't bring it up with a team or anything. We bring it up as a staff, and I think if you go all the way back where y'all interviewed me in Big 12 Media Day, I mean, I said that was something that we've got to do, and we need to do it this year. It's one of that one box that hasn't been checked as far as what people can use against us in recruiting. I mean, you can't use facilities, you can't use revenue share, but we've never won the Big 12, and we've never played in the game. And so that's why it's so important, what we're doing right now. But the team, I don't have to say a lot to them. They know they have a goal, and they hold each other accountable at a really high level. And it's just my job to try to make sure that they're healthy getting to Saturday, and we've got a great game plan, and we're ready to play, and let them take care of it.
Joey Maguire, head football coach at Texas Tech, with us on 365 Sports. Joey, it's 1-0. I even sent Matt Dowdy a text. I said 1-0, next man, all that. How hard, though, is that? And you mentioned the seniors or upperclassmen leadership. like, how hard is it to stop thinking about Saturday, or is it because this team has much bigger fish to fry?
It's not hard for me, but that's not a good thing sometimes. Like, I get all these texts from all my buddies and my mentors, and Gina Farmer, my old AD, and she's like, I hope you're enjoying this. And what I enjoy is coming in the building every day and being around my players. That's what I enjoy. But, I thought about that for a very short time Saturday, and then I was on to the next thing, trying to make sure that I, uncovered everything that I need to uncover. And I think, as a player, it's tough because, man, I'm telling you guys, you walked out of our building Sunday through Saturday, there were thousands of tents. I mean, Thursday night, I don't know if any college bar made a dime in Lubbock, Texas, because there was a raid going on for 24 hours outside of our office. I got in the building at 5:30 Friday morning, and those kids hadn't slept. Like, they had DJs, they had barbers out there, they had nail salons out there. I mean, it was crazy. So, you got to get them to play, ready to play. Then you have college game day. But it's good that we have senior day. It's good that this is the last time these guys are going to play at home this year. It's good that we won and we know what's next. And so we'll push those buttons and we'll have a great week. And we'll see if we can't get after a really good, it's crazy. You look at UCF, and then if you look ahead that next week, those two teams are playing their best football. I mean, UCF should have beat Houston last week. It came down right to the wire. So we're not going to take anybody lightly. That bite you, and we don't want to get bit right now. We want to make sure that we control our destiny.
Okay, a couple more things, and thank you, Joey. Congratulations on the win. What night did you sleep better, Friday night or Saturday, whenever the hell you went to bed?
No, it'd have to be Saturday. I didn't sleep hardly at all on Friday night, man. I was, being an 11 a.m. kick, I knew I was going to be up really early. And so I laid there in the hotel room looking at the ceiling most of the night. And, I did get some sleep on Saturday. Really, I probably slept better last night because I was just exhausted from the 2 days, and got caught up. But man, what a life, what a moment. I'm telling you guys, I'm so proud of this student body and this fan base. It was so electric on Saturday, and it was so much fun to be a part of.
Well, that was going to be my other question about just looking around and embracing all of it and cherishing the moment. And I know there's more to come. To just everybody, it could not have gone much better. And the weather cooperated with you because it could have gotten nasty 6 or 7 hours earlier than it did. Thank you very much for your time.
Do you want to? We have some super chats.
Yeah, we got a couple of people in the. Kim Coulter, he is. There's a lot of Texas Tech fans that watch and view our show. Thank you for bringing Joey on. Wreckham. What was the other one, Brandon? We get another one from Katie Rader, another huge fan. Go Joey, go Wreckham. A lot of people obviously enjoying the moment right now. And like you said, enjoy it. Don't take any of it for granted. And thank you very much for being a part of our show.
You bet, man. I'm always here for you guys. I mean, I love what you guys do. And anytime you need me to come on to talk about whatever, man, I'm all in.
Okay, so it's 365 Sports, then McAfee, and then Barstool in order. That's your favorite shows, right?
You already know that, man. We've been doing this together a
long time.
Yes,
Congratulations,
sir.
Joey. Thank you very much.
Man.
Still much more to do, and got to remain focused. And Joey Maguire, thanks to Matt Dowdy of Texas Tech for giving us time with him. When we come back, Dan Wetzel, ESPN, wrapping up the college weekend and looking ahead. His thoughts and more. This is 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, they're having a Veterans Day sale that's going on right now on their lot. Cars and inventory, brand new cars from Jeep and Ram trucks, of course, that are just absolutely spectacular. And then on top of that, the incentives and discounts going on right now throughout the month of November. It is November. We're almost a third of the way through the month. Right now, $14,000 off and 3.9% financing for 72 months on the 2025 Ram 1500 Lone Star, or 0% financing for 72 months. That is true. The pre-Black Friday sales event going on. Black Friday deals before the rush with huge savings on right now. And then, of course, they'll have even more. How about this? The Jeep Wranglers, Dodge SUVs, Ram trucks, hot trade-in values available. I got a text because I bought my Ford Explorer, a pre-owned car from them, and I get a text from somebody within the company that said, hey, we have somebody that wants to buy your Ford Explorer. Do you want to look at one of our new cars as a trade-in? I love my Ford Explorer, but I appreciate the fact that they texted me for that because they're trying to get a couple of things done at once. It's Alan Samuels with Ted Teague as the general manager and CEO, and David Gray running the sales department, and a great staff. Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Have you heard of the new IRA? The new IRA, Insured Retirement Advantage, is a solution for high-income individuals and business owners who want to grow and protect their wealth without locking up capital or taking unnecessary risks. If you're an asset manager or a licensed insurance agent looking to provide your clients with guaranteed tax-free retirement income and legacy protection, the new IRA Insured Retirement Advantage is an option you need to know more about and is only available exclusively from North Star Funding Partners. For more information, go to northstarfundingpartners.com and tell them 365 Sports sent you.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions, IT success guaranteed.
This is Richard Carr, and it's hard to believe that 2025 marks our 26th year in the car business. I want to thank you for your support over the last 26 years. As a locally owned business, our customers in Central Texas community are also friends and neighbors. If you haven't been by lately, I invite you to come in and experience our amazing lineup of Buick, GMC, and Cadillac vehicles. Our goal is to make you feel like more than just a customer, but as a valued neighbor. Let us show you why we are people you can count on at Richard Carr, Buick, GMC, Cadillac.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
ESPN's Dan Wetzel. We've had Dan on many, many times. We appreciate his opinion, insight, and how he covers sports. He joins Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina, David Smoak on 365 Sports. Dan, thank you very much. I just saw the note on the Big Ten cat fight with Michigan and USC and the private capital and all of that. What are your thoughts? And what is the feedback you're getting about this with the latest that was released over the weekend?
It's a battle, man. It's a battle. So, you know, to those who aren't really paying attention, it's which would be I don't blame them. What they're trying to do is a lot of the Big Ten schools need money either mainly for paying down stadium loans and things like that. And plus you have, a new expense of $20 to $20.5 million that you're paying into players. So a lot of the Big Ten needs every athletic department in the country needs money. And the plan is to basically you start a new entity, but you're basically selling the media rights and branding rights for the Big Ten, 10% of it to a private capital group, in this case, a pension fund out of California, for $2.4 billion. And then you're extending the grant of rights for all the Big Ten to 2046, an extra 10 years. So for the next 20 years, you're giving away 10% of your business for $2.4 billion. It averages out to about $135 million a school, but not everyone will get the same amount. So, your Ohio States, your Michigans are going to get more like 160, 70, and maybe your Rutgers and stuff is more like 100. So it's just a cash surge to help pay some of the bills now, but you're giving away something long term. Now, a lot of these schools are in favor of it, but Michigan and USC in particular are against it. One Michigan trustee called it a payday loan, which it's got a pretty good point on it. But this is the first time we would have private capital get involved in college athletics. And so it is a big decision. But right now we have 2 of the 18 teams in the league vehemently opposed. No one really knows whether you can go forward without them. And then Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports, reported over the weekend that they were the Big Ten was going to try to force a vote anyway and basically say, you're coming along with us or you risk your future in the league, which would be a considerable escalation if you're trying to tell Michigan and USC, I don't know what they're telling them. Are you going to get kicked out of the league in 2036 if you don't do this? Can you do this without 2 of the biggest brands? I mean, Michigan was part of the league when it founded in like 1897 or something. Like, I mean, can you imagine? Other than Ohio State, is there anyone more Big Ten than them? And they'd have a lot of options. So it is a real battle over the desperate need for money right now, and maybe 2 schools that are thinking long term and saying this is a horrific deal for us financially.
Why would Ohio State want this deal at all? I mean, it doesn't. Like Michigan, USC, I can't understand Rutgers wanting it. I can understand Northwestern wanting it, even though I'm kind of surprised that they even do, given how good of a school that is and who it's run by. But why Ohio State would sign over grant of rights for that long of a time too? It doesn't make any sense to me, Dan.
Yeah, it's a really good question. One is they have a tremendous amount of debt on facilities. I think they spent $30 million last year on debt service on a $250-60 million budget. So I don't know, whatever that is, 12% or something like that. Like there's considerable amounts of what they're spending is paying. Everyone has built these facilities that are opulent, right? Gold plated. People also have stadiums that, I mean, I can only imagine the maintenance costs on Ohio Stadium. That thing's probably 100 years old, and I mean, good Lord, right? So you have these hulking edifices and all this stuff. So that's a big thing. Even Ohio State needs money. Everybody needs money. Now, why Ohio State and Penn State would not be on Michigan's side here, I don't know. I think that's a little of a surprise with Michigan. I think you have some trustees at those schools that are against it, but maybe athletic directors and presidents that are in on it saying, no, we need to do it. Talking to trustees around the league at various different schools, a school will have an AD, a coach, AD, even a president. Those people are generally there for 5 years, 8 years, presidents even like 3 years, right? They just want the money. Trustees, board of supervisors, whatever they're called, right? those guys usually went to the school, got a law degree at the school. They live in the community. Now they're a trustee. Their kids go to they're the ones that care about the long-term aspect of these schools. And so they have a different view of like, hey, we're going to balance our budget the next 3 years and I'm going to skip and get another job. They're sitting there going, wait a minute. This is my number one question is how do you lock up your media rights to 2046? Try telling me what media is in 2046.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. 20 years ago, I'll give you this. 20 years ago, the Big Ten Network had not started. The Big Ten Network had not started. That was just like this. Oh, well, there's going to be a cable channel with just the Big Ten. Now that channel is basically obsolete, and people aren't using basic cable packages anymore, which made the Big Ten a lot of money. So, like in 20 years, I don't know. I have no idea how we're going to be watching games, what we're going to be doing. I mean, you go to flying cars, right? We'll be watching the backseat of our flying car. I don't know. So that's one of the things that like USC and Michigan are like, what are we doing? Wait, what? I'm not signing up for anything over 20 years. These deals get bigger. Also, the private capital, they have, after 15 years, those people are allowed to sell their 10% of what this would be, this thing called Big Ten Enterprises. Well, they can sell it to anybody. So who knows where that's going? So there's just a ton of questions. I don't know why Ohio State and Penn State would do this, but money and short-term money is always appealing. And I always think these deals will get done. I don't know now, though. There is a lot of opposition. And the longer it goes, the more schools and the more trustees at the schools look and say, is this really a good idea, even for, like you said, a Northwestern or a Michigan State or something, or, a Penn State saying, wait, what are we doing? Yeah, I understand we got a lot of debt, but maybe there's another way we can raise capital.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise out there at all times, Dan, especially when it comes to the off the field stuff. But this story right here definitely has intrigue for good reason, because there's some very interesting things that could sprout off from
this. Is the future of college athletics. Like this is undercovered. Like this could break all sorts of ways.
Absolutely.
This is sort of like conference realignment, where you just wake up and you go, what happened? There's an 18-team Big Ten, and yeah. So it's a very complicated. I get why people would just rather concentrate on the games, but if the Big Ten does this, everybody's going to do this. Maybe. I don't know. I've heard a lot of people at other leagues say this is a terrible idea. But the Big Ten's a rich league. It's made more money than anybody over the last 20 years. It's somehow they're broke.
Yeah, that's head scratching for sure. That's college athletics in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But yeah, and if they go through with it, then what do Michigan and USC do? Like, do they call their bluff and say, "Well, all right, we'll go independent," or we'll yeah.
I mean, they could. That's the thing. Like, that's the part of me is like, let's say Michigan, and let's say they do that. I have no idea. I don't think anyone does. It's like a shock. Okay, Michigan and USC say, look, we'll go independent. We'll play each other and Notre Dame each year. There's some games. Like, I think Michigan, as long as Michigan kept playing Ohio State, they actually would make more money as an independent. Unless you get it so Ohio State won't. And Ohio State, like, even if they stayed in the Big Ten, there's no way they've given up that game. That's the single most valuable game in college football. It gets a higher rating than the national championship game. Many years it's in the high 20s. I mean, that thing might be worth $150, $200 million all on its own. If you play one game and the two schools alternate, they'd split $100 million right there. That's more. The Big Ten gives them $85 million total. So, I mean, a Michigan, this thing is so wild. I don't know, but Michigan could call that bluff. It would be my opinion, and USC could call that bluff and say, "Okay, we're out, I guess." And also, what are you still getting $2.4 billion if you don't have USC and Michigan in it? Like, I don't know. This whole thing is really an odd story. The ferocity in which they're trying to force this thing through is really interesting. It's real. There's a lot of hardball being played, and I don't know. I wouldn't telling schools like that to to go, it's like telling your spouse, like, hey, go ahead, go date some other people, see if you find anyone better than me. And yeah, good luck.
Honey, this is Matt Damon. Sorry, I'm leaving. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you win. Maybe you don't. I don't know how that's going to work. Careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I look forward to more of your reporting on that because it is very, very interesting stuff. I want to stick with the Big Ten and just ask you about one result. What was your real-time reaction to the Omar Cooper catch and Indiana staying afloat as one of the few unbeatens remaining?
Yeah, incredible, right? One of the best catches I've ever seen. I mean, and because we're kind of used to these like over the head catches and stuff, and how much of that are these new gloves and whatever. But that is old school. I mean, incredible. To me, for Indiana, Indiana's just such a new program for everyone. You just want to see what they're made of, and every team you want to see what they're made of, and they have just been blowing everybody out. And I was really impressed when they went up to Oregon and dominated. And then to see them, look, they should have beat Penn State by more, but to see them rally when the chips were down and can you put a drive together and can do stuff like that, I thought was impressive for Indiana. So they remain clearly one of the title contenders in the country right now.
In 1997, November the 8th, you had that Scott Frost to Matt Davidson kick touchdown pass that led to a national title, and that's probably the last time I have a good memory of Nebraska football. But at the same time, that was the anniversary of that, and that defied gravity. It defied everything. Physics, gravity, the earth is round or flat. What a moment in Mendoza. And possibly that might eventually, who knows, on the Heisman Trophy down the road.
Yeah, I kind of find it funny, but the whole Heisman moment thing is it seems to be a big thing now. Certainly was a Heisman moment. Now, had he played better during the game, you don't need a moment. Ty Simpson's looking pretty good the whole game for Alabama. I don't know. You don't need a moment when the whole game's good, but that's how they do it. It was a great game, and it was a great catch. It's one of the, when I first saw it, I was like, nah. And then you're looking and they got it in there, man. I mean, barely, just enough. It was an incredible catch, incredible body control.
Is the ACC, even though they're going to wind up with just one playoff team, are they getting better as a conference, or is it just, that Florida State and Clemson are both really, really down?
This is a really good question. I don't know. Here's the thing. Everyone's kind of bagging on them. I'm like, this is fun. I mean, in the old days, before the playoff was expanded, no one would care what's going on in the ACC. There are, is it 5 one-loss teams? There's 5 one-loss teams because Virginia actually lost to 2 ACC opponents, but for some reason their game against fellow ACC member North Carolina State does not count in the ACC standing. Classic college football. Who knows? Nothing makes sense until it's over. But it's going to be like a round robin, and Duke can still win it even though they have 4 losses. I mean, they can get beat out of conference. What Clemson is. That game was on the ACC network the other night. I mean, yes. We love all parts of the family of networks here at ESPN, but not particularly the most high profile. I love it. Florida State and Clemson sued the league recently, saying that it wasn't good enough for them. Well, again, kind of like daring Michigan to leave. Careful there. Clemson and Florida State got a thing in where if you win the league, the better you do in the league, the more money you make out of the revenue. You get a higher revenue share and playoff bids. Schools make more money, and it was all designed so the idea that Clemson and Florida State would do really well and make the playoff and win playoff games, and then they'd be able to bridge the gap between the SEC and them. Turns out that's going to go to like Virginia or Pitt or something like that. So that didn't work either. Kind of funny. But I don't know whether they're better. They're just even. I just think the sport now, you got good players all over the place. The quarterbacks particularly spread out. They're looking for playing time and opportunity. A lot of kids are looking for opportunity. So week in, week out, you just don't know who's going to win. And the ACC is a perfect example of that. We've obviously seen that for a long time, for the last few years in the Big 12. Maybe Texas Tech's changed that this year, although they have a loss. But you got to bring it every week. And it's not the days when Clemson could just roll up so many good recruits they could just show up on Saturday and basically beat everybody.
You know, there's been a lot of speculating about FSU and Clemson's future. Maybe they start a new conference with Michigan and USC.
I think they would do that if they could. I think they would do that if they could. If you're going to do a conference, I don't know that you don't do a small. If you got a powerhouse like that, you got some. Like you just have a 4 or 5 team conference, and then just everything else is just like you could have a small scheduling arrangement and make a lot of money and not share it with other teams. Probably. And I, as a fan of college athletics my whole life, that's what terrifies me.
Right.
Because I like that Wake Forest and Minnesota and Michigan State and Iowa and it's places that don't have big media markets or brands or have a shot.
Agreed.
I don't want it to just be, Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State and USC are making 3 times as much money as somebody else, 5 times as much money, and they cut out. That's the stuff that scares me. That's why, again, this stuff is to go back to it. And yeah, I don't know. Clemson and Florida State, they need to. Not good. I mean, Florida. I don't know. Norvell, certainly very, very hot seat. You know, the last 2 years, UConn has won more games in the ACC than Florida State. UConn is not in the ACC. That's not good.
I'm well aware, Dan. I'm well aware.
Yeah, FSU grad Paul here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he's well aware.
Oh, I know all the pock marks. It's tough.
Dan, you
mentioned Dabo will have to be back to the drawing board. Who knows, man? It's crazy.
It is absolutely nuts right now. Dan, you mentioned Texas Tech. They get the big win, obviously, over BYU, College Game Day, all of that. They're in a good spot where they pretty much control their own destiny. But there's already talk about how with that loss, BYU is, it's going to be a one bid Big 12 league. Do you agree with that, or do you think that BYU still has an opportunity? Obviously, a lot is dependent on collateral damage elsewhere, but how are you feeling about that side of the coin for Brett Yormark and company after Saturday's game?
Well, I think obviously if BYU comes back and makes the title game, they can still win it, right? They'd have to beat Texas Tech. And if they beat them maybe in a close game, could a 2-loss Texas Tech get in? Utah is still ranked. Utah's going to come in. I think they were 13th last week. They still have an argument. Now, you could have a 2-loss Utah and a 2-loss BYU, and BYU only lost to Texas Tech. And then do you take BYU because they defeated Utah and Utah lost to Tech? Like, how would that little work? What's Cincinnati going to end up doing? It's going to be tight, though. A lot of it's going to be what happens in the SEC. A school like Texas and Oklahoma totally control their destinies too. If they win out, Texas wins out, they beat Georgia and A&M, they're going to get in, right? If Oklahoma wins out, they got to win at Alabama and a couple others, right? They're going to get in. Now, can they do that? I don't know. So does the SEC sit there with 5 or even 6 really good contenders? So it's going to be it'll go down to that last Saturday night at championship weekend.
Yeah, sometimes
it'll be tight.
You look at are there enough quality teams to get to 12? Well, of course they'll get to 12, but you wonder about is 12 plenty? And we're talking about moving it to 16, or that's the story. Let this thing kind of just simmer and see what it's like.
Yeah, well, that's my thing. Everyone, let's expand it. Let's see. I think 12 is a nice number because these games still matter. And you're not sitting there just going, oh, who cares who wins BYU? Not that it would ever be that way in football. I mean, look, Indiana did not have to win Saturday, and it was this big, emotional, exciting victory, right? It's football. Every game you want to win, and it means a lot. But I agree. 12, to me, the worst thing these guys can do, other than blow up all the conferences again for private capital, is you have to, like, there was a great element of, like, you had to be perfect, right? That's how college football was for a long time. It had to be perfect. Lose one game and you're out. And there was something to that. Now, you also eliminated most of the country. Not many people had a chance. There's a lot of downsides. But how do you get that balance where each game still matters to a degree, to as much as possible, but you also have opportunity for a lot of people, including 2 bids out of a Big 12 or something like that. And I think 12 is at that tipping point, and I think you go to 16 and you're going to lose something. And I think maybe we don't even need to be at 12, but that's where we're at. We probably only need to be at like 10, but fine. We're at 12, but be very cautious as going up. And when you hear some of these plans, again, out of the Big 10, let's have a 22, 2018 play. Like, I love college football. It's hard for me to ever say, let's play less college football, but 2018 playoff, do we really want that? 24 teams? I don't. I like 12. I think it balances that part of the sport. The every game matters and opportunity. I think we have a really nice number right now.
Great to get you on again, Dan. Thank you very much. Dan Wetzel from ESPN joins us, and so much to get to, looking at the big financial picture of the Big Ten and private capital and all of that. I put something up yesterday. I was like, wouldn't it be nice once they kick off the first game sometime in late August until the championship game? I'm just saying, wouldn't it be nice if there was none of those stories about realignment? But I know that's stupid. It's impossible. But it would be nice just to kind of enjoy the season from week to week. But there's always something that takes the headlines. And I get it. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at a lot of fandoms, though, it's not always about just the main raw thing. Like, it's like talking about, well, why are we talking about free agency during the regular season? Well, because people are interested in free agency. And because it's their chance to maybe get better if they're not that great or be even greater than they already are. So it's like, well, why are we talking about recruiting? Because it matters year-round. Just like NIL matters year-round, just like realignment matters year-round. If there's reason to talk about it, not just, pulling stuff out of your backside, but with this Big Ten story, God, that's a massive freaking story.
Yeah.
Like, you got USC and Michigan saying, we don't want to do this. You guys are basically going to hand yourselves over to Saudi Arabia here in a few years. Like, the premise of private equity is going to kill everything off. You're going to lose control of these things. And there's so many people saying, well, that's not the case. This isn't even private this. It's actually private that and this and that. But the point is whatever you want to call it, you are taking outside money for reasons many people wonder why you even need it to begin with. And you say, oh, well, it's NIL or it's revenue share. And it's like, yeah, but you keep asking for more and more and more, and it's never enough. And will it ever be enough to the point now you're welcoming in just pure outsiders to invest and get some level of ownership, but not really? Like, it's all twisting of words when it shouldn't be a part of the mix at all. And that's what would concern me. So if you're USC and Michigan, kudos to you for saying, no, we don't want to do this. We don't need to do this. And I am fascinated to see what the Big Ten now does if those two are saying, no, we don't want to do this, because if they do go through with it, there will be no shortage of people that go, we'll take you. Like, what check do you want us to cut for you?
Yeah. No, it's very strange to me that Ohio State is so, like, it sounds like they're in deep with the Sharks, right?
Buddy, they spend a lot of money. That's what it is.
Well, he just said they paid a $30 million interest on a loan.
Right. They spent a ton of money.
Yeah, they spent a ton of money, but that even with all that they couldn't figure it out. The other thing is, especially if I am at Penn State, who now has $50 million in debt or whatever it's going to be when James Franklin gets his offset language to James Franklin and his staff. If I'm Michigan, what they're standing against at Ohio State, those schools, and you're going to come to me and ask me to build a stadium or do all these things and go, wait a minute, you're going to get $153 million a year from this private capital. You're getting $100 million a year in your TV deal, and you have the balls to ask me for money?
To raise student fees another time.
They don't care.
No, they don't care. That's
so
the thing.
Arrogant.
The whole thing's been built on not making money technically on the books, right? It's like you spend as much as you make, so you're technically you need it, and there's a whole trick of how they work this whole system that's been put in place over the decades, and Yeah, you thought revenue share that maybe they'd worry less or worry more about these hefty buyouts, or maybe they would cut back in some areas. Like, if you thought that, you are not following along, because they're not cutting jack crap. They're just going to spend even more. They just are going to find ways to bring in more to keep spending more. Like, that's their solution.
It's a never-ending flow of revenue for a never-ending flow of spending it. Real quickly, before we get to Phil Bennett, North Star Funding Partners $100 Visa gift card, back-to-back weeks. Bill Dingspeed, excuse me, I talked to him. He's out of Austin. He went 9-1. There was a chunk of people who went to 8-2. Bill went 9-1.
That is not a real name.
His real name is Bill Seward. I talked to him.
So you're telling me that Building Speed,
Bill Dingspeed is his name in the competition. He sent me an email because he won last week. His name is Bill Seward out of Austin, Texas.
Okay, I thought you were saying that his real name was Building Speed. I was like, that is not his real name.
That's one of those chat room names. Okay. Or it could be even a message board or Twitter name.
Yeah,
all
okay,
right.
That makes sense.
All right, Phil Bennett is next. We're going to move. We did this last. There's so much to crunch. We'll move the AP Top 25 bangers, et cetera, the poll and all of that into tomorrow, which, of course, is going to be the second week of the college football playoff release and the standings.
I had to say one thing on the UCF game because I didn't get a chance. We were low on time. But the Scott Frost questionable decision, did y'all watch that game? Did y'all watch the end when he put in Davey Balfour to play the game-winning potential drive?
Changed quarterbacks. Yep.
Changed quarterbacks on the final drive of the game. It's fascinating, though, that Davey Balfour's – I didn't know this. I didn't know that Vitor Belfort, the UFC fighter, the longtime MMA star's son, was a quarterback at UCF. So I learned that on Saturday night, but that was one of the questionable decisions that Scott Frost made in that game.
I mean, look, if he's just standing behind the bench doing this –
yeah,
I
know. Maybe that's what happened.
Yeah, he's actually got the
gloves on. It actually helped explain it a little bit more, honestly.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, Phil Bennett, his thoughts about what he saw over the weekend. I also had a former high school coach who I spoke with a week or so ago that gave me a quote about what Phil Bennett meant to him. We'll have that and more. And this is 365 Sports. IdealMRI.com. Dr. Rob Maxey and the owners have done such a great job with a business that helps you, the customer, and patient. You have something that's been bothering you, your lower back, or maybe that affects something else. Maybe it's your neck, your shoulder, your knee, your elbow, and you need a better look at why it is, like sometimes maybe even so hurtful it shuts you down. You can't sleep, you can't function. It happens, and your doctor says, okay, we need a better look. Ideal MRI will get that look for you, and on top of that, it's only $497. The average MRI is well over, like $1,100 or more, and can be even more expensive than that. Ideal MRI will help you. They'll file your insurance, and if it works, that also helps cut the price down too. But what you'll also get, and your doctor, so then they can make a plan for how you get back on your feet or you feel better wherever it might be, is get an MRI machine, a state-of-the-art imaging. Get the results, get the evidence. What is going on? Ligament, muscle, or something else, or maybe not that, and then you can go another direction at IdealMRI.com in the Central Texas Marketplace off I-35 in Waco.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, let Automatic Chef tailor a break room solution to your needs. Make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
No car payments for 90 days when you bring your auto loan home to Genco. Get 4.79% for 48 months and make no payments until 2026. Plus, get entered to win 3 months of no car payments. Bring your auto loan home to Genco. Lower your interest rate, save money, and no payments until 2026. Special is subject to credit approval and membership eligibility. Visit GencoFCU.org. Member NCUA.
Want to send a message to the show? Jump in the Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue chat room.
Bill Bennett joins us on Mondays in the 5 o'clock hour from his gorgeous abode. Are you not chilly as hell out there right now?
I'm very comfortable. It's nice to feel fall weather. So, no, I'm not cold.
Well, you got those heaters around you, too,
I do.
out there in that beautiful, beautiful deck. Hey, your thoughts about what you saw Texas Tech do? They used to overwhelm people at times and outscore them. And they are on defense. We've seen it, but we saw another version of it with what they did to BYU and Lubbock.
It was fun to watch. They, Joey and his new coordinator have done a wonderful job. They line up well. They play fast. They play with an aggressiveness that you don't see a lot of defensive play with today. And they're fast. I mean, they cover ground. Both linebackers, the defensive end, Bailey, the secondary is breaking on the ball. And I know that BYU has had better games, but Tech's defense set the tone.
Phil, Tech was, I mean, you coached against them a lot. You had to worry about stopping an offense that scored 35 on a bad day. You know, they scored 35 and threw 4 picks in a game because they just moved that fast. How hard is it to change the core of what a program is when it is one thing for so long?
Paul, I'm going to tell you what I really see in college football now. Joey has never been a coordinator. He's been a high school head coach. He was a tight end coach, and I think Joey knows football. I'm not saying that. But Joey had the whatever you want to call it, the strength to say, hey, for us to get better, I've got to change some things. He hired a new offensive coordinator. He hired a new defensive coordinator, and he made really good hires. And when I say that, I mean, it's very obvious to me. Defensively, they line up good. They know they're taught well. You know, Taylor Young's out there. And Taylor told me, he said, Coach, you would like this guy. He believes in the things you believe. Good alignment, playing smart, not being too complicated. And it's pretty evident. And then on offense, I think the quarterback, you know, you look at him, and he's playing with I think a cracked fibula, and they're giving him things that he can do. And they can run the ball. Their offensive line's aggressive. I think they're a really, really good football team.
Coach, Texas A&M just keeps on rolling. Mike Elko continuing to beat the drum of don't be scared. Like let's do this thing. And here they are. And I know that people keep waiting for that shoe to drop, but a lot of thoughts that maybe Missouri could present us some problems being on the road. And yeah, man, they just went and handled business, didn't they?
It was fun to see early in the game when the quarterback wasn't playing well, that they ran the ball. They played great defense. Now, obviously, Missouri was with a freshman quarterback. And I don't know if you saw it, but I don't, my YouTube doesn't get ABC. So I got some brand I paid for the weekend that I got to see. No commercials. And I saw the head coach at Missouri wear his starting running back out. Didn't even play him the first half. So I don't know what happened. But I think that helped A&M to get settled. But they're very impressive, even when you don't play well. You know, when Missouri made the long run to make it, I think 24-14, sort of closing the gap. They make a great call with a fake punt, and I just think they're tying things together. It's obvious to me that they have a lot of confidence in their players, and the coaches believe in in what they're doing, and the players believe in the coaches. That's very obvious.
I want to go back to Texas Tech because while you were talking, I was thinking about this. Do you think they have the team that could go and compete with the bigger names in this playoff and win a game or win a couple games, or do you see deficiencies? Like, how do you eye them up? Obviously, the class of the Big 12 right now, but nationally, how do you think that they compare?
Craig, I think people make mistakes by saying, hey, Tech couldn't play with A&M or Tech couldn't play with Indiana. Sure, they could. Yes, they could. Now, and I think that you'll look at things because, listen, I remember the day I played in Lubbock, Texas many times, played Texas Tech many times, that, when certain coaches, Mike Leach was at Texas Tech, he owned Texas A&M. So there's all teams on a given day can do it. One of the things that I heard Nick Saban say, I truly believe this. There's a parity that it's been years since I've seen the parity athletically and all things considered in college football. I mean, you look at Indiana, you look at Alabama, you look at A&M, you look at Tech, and I'm not going to throw BYU at it. They didn't play great. There's a lot of teams. You look at Texas coming back into the picture. I read today that there hadn't been a team that started number one, fall out of the top 25, that get back in the top 10. So these last three games are really going to be exciting because of the parity.
Texas, you got to give them credit because they could have gone sideways with Kentucky, and then that Vanderbilt game. Not Vanderbilt. It was Kentucky, and then Mississippi State with Lebanon.
Mississippi State had the game won.
But they found a way to kind of tread water, and now they've got it in front of them with Georgia this week. With what you see in college football, it literally, it's not pro football yet. They're getting to that point. But is it better now? Is it more fun now because so many more teams have a chance to be involved, or not?
I like the parity. And I told a friend of mine recently, another coach, I said, it's sort of calmed down this year about, hey, he's making this much, he's making this much. There's not a lot of talk of what they're earning. Last year was always talking about Arch Manning, how much he was making, sitting on the bench, all those things. I look at a team, I'll tell you something. I look at a team like Georgia. I've watched them 3 full games this year. And somebody told me, they said, they've been on David Bobo since Kirby brought him back. He is doing an unbelievable job with that Georgia offense, and a quarterback that's not seasoned, just a tough kid that's a winner. Kirby's getting the defense better. They didn't start great. And so there's a lot of teams. And I heard another coach say this, and it's true. Coaching is at the, coaches are invaluable right now. And the coaching that's being done at Indiana, look what they did. Say what you want to say, well, that was lucky. Well, it wasn't lucky. I mean, they had a plan. Their coordinator was a wide receiver when I was the defensive coordinator at Pitt. His name's Mike Shanahan. And I texted him. I said, that was as fine of a final drive as I've ever seen.
With no timeout.
He knew exactly what his quarterback can do and where to attack. And I think coaching, I've always said it matters. And when you have parity, it matters more.
So there's a lot of head coaching jobs open. They're going to be a lot more open before they even get to the jobs that'll open because you hire somebody because, that's where they go. Athletic departments are going to have to dig a little bit deeper to look because there's no, go and win the press conference guys out there past maybe Lane Kiffin and James Franklin, I guess. But Phil, there are AAC coaches, there are Conference USA coaches, Bob Chesney at JMU is fantastic. Why before, now they're going to be forced to, why did athletic departments, were they nervous to hire these guys in the past and maybe are starting to thaw on it now?
Paul, I think you got to look who's hiring them. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. A lot of these ADs aren't making the best decisions. They're trying to win the press conference. And there's a lot of substance in looking at guys. You can go all the way back to Baylor. And when they hired, arguably one of the greatest coaches in college football in Grant Taft. Here he was, McMurray and San Angelo State. And, the guy could coach and he could bring coaches with him. I think that's another thing that's happening with what's going on. That the leashes are going to be shorter. These coaches that are in the lower levels that win, and you're right, the JMU coach is excellent. Eric Morse has proven. I mean, he built that thing. I saw it. He didn't do great the first 2 years. Kept evaluating, getting things, and he's going to finish with a one-loss season. Maybe, who knows? It's crazy. It might end up in the playoffs. But I just see right now that in this game that they're going to have to, don't worry about the press conference. Hire with substance. And with that note, I had a friend of mine in Baton Rouge that was laughing. He said, we're never going to pay Brian Kelly $54 million. We're going to give him $20 million. Brian Kelly, if you saw today, is going to get $54 million. Mm-hmm. If they don't pay him, good luck to whoever they try to hire, because these agents will say, we're not going there.
Yeah, they do have a say, and a lot of them sometimes even more so than the coach, unless you're like one of those alpha.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I got a question for you. Mike Spradlin, who was at Houston when Art was there. He was at Temple. He was at Rockwall Heath. I happened to talk to him about Josh Hoover a couple of weeks ago. We had Hoover on the show. He said this about you, and I saved this for this week. He changed everything about me in the way he approaches kids and people, and a fun guy to work for, but you have to work your ass off. He was as influential as most anyone in my life. And Mike lost his father when he was 16 years old.
Yeah,
what does that mean to you when you hear that?
Well, it means the world. He's as I said, Mike's one of those guys could have been a head coach anywhere, and just everywhere he's been, he's won. He had he played on the defensive line, offensive line at U of H, and was a badass. Him and a guy named Wells. I mean, of course they had Danny Davis, but they were tough. And he's been that way his whole life, and just a wonderful human being.
I was curious about that. I just happened to call him. I was asking him about a couple about Hoover, and then I, of course, brought up Chad President, former quarterback.
Yeah.
Who's now the head coach at Temple too. I'm going to ask you this, and I don't know your response. Do you have another? what is the AD's role when it comes to a football program? And I'm talking about the story that came out on Friday that's been simmering for a couple of months involving Mack Rhoades in pregame and postgame.
Right.
And you know him. You
Right.
got to know him front and center
Yeah,
when
I do.
you could have had that head coaching job when they gave it to Jim Grobe. You said go get Jim Grobe.
Yes, yes.
What is the line of too close or what?
The first thing I'm going to say is this. You know, I worked for one of the guys I thought was one of the best ADs in the history, and his name was Joe Dean at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
And his words, he always said this. It's just entrenched in my brain. And a good athletic director facilitates the needs of his coaches. And when he says facilitates, you give them what they need. Sometimes it's direction, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's material things, but you facilitate for your coaches. I know Mack Rhoades. I know that he is a hard-working guy. I know he loves Baylor. I've had a guy tell me, one of the guys that he mentors, who loves him dearly, told me something one time. He said, the only thing that bothers me about Mack is he's got too much fan in him. And when he said that, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that it's a thing where sometimes you have to separate. You're not a coach, and you've got to separate when you're an administrator and a coach. Now, asking Dave or asking somebody else, why do we do this? Why do we do that? I think that's okay. But I think that sometimes being on the sideline, people perceive you as being too hands-on. I know this. I don't know the details, so I'm not going to comment on it. I don't know enough about it. I know it doesn't look good, but I do know that he's a fan of that football staff and that head coach. And I thought it was an unfortunate situation.
All right. Thank you very much, my friend. We appreciate you as always. You look great.
I'm getting better. Hey, I'm starting to. Hopefully next Wednesday he's going to release me to swing a little bit.
Oh, here's what I did when I had shoulder surgery, rotator cuff in 15. I took a 7-iron about 3 months later, or maybe not quite. Then I just went around the greens and just kind of chipped a little bit without.
I've been doing it.
Yeah, there you go. You'll be back. Thank you, buddy.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Good talking to you. Bye-bye.
Phil Bennett with us on Mondays in the 5 o'clock hour on 365 Sports. So here's the story. You may have seen it. The Athletic outkick, among a lot of others. Mack Rhoades reportedly investigated, allegedly confronting a player during a game over the color of his undershirt. Well, one, he was investigated. Baylor did have an investigation. They went through all the human resource information with those who filed complaints or whatever. They then decided that they had no reason to take much more action. However, there's a question about whether or not Mack was in fact suspended or asked not to be a part of or so close to the sideline during the game. He's not the only AD that hangs around the sidelines. This all stems, and it wasn't during a game, it was either, well, both before and maybe after a game, where he and tight end Michael Trigg got into it. And it depends on who you ask. And there's apparently some video, and I haven't seen the video. It has not been released that I know of, about the confrontation. I spent a lot of time yesterday on the phone driving back from Dallas, and even really for the last few weeks about this. Could never really put a bow on it. Could never really tie my shoes on it. But yes, there was a confrontation. Yes, tight ends coach Jared Anderson was also involved, who I think was picking up for his player, Michael Trigg. It's a bad situation because it doesn't look good with Mack Rhoades, who is the college football committee chairman, and they said he will continue in that role, which is week number 2 tomorrow. I spoke to a lot of people about this, guys, both Craig and Paul. I spoke with a lot of people. I know that there were some coaches on staff that were concerned about the story getting out back when it first started to surface, because they were concerned about Michael Trigg and his NFL aspirations, and also that he had come such a long way since his Ole Miss days to transferring to Baylor, and how this might not set him off, but how he would react to it, because in his opinion, not Michael Trigg's opinion, was that, well, they're going to see Michael Trigg's name involved. And they're going, oh, my God, what did he do? When in this particular case, from all angles that I've been told, pretty much 95% said that this was something where Michael Trigg did not do anything that would have warranted Mack getting in his business and or Jared Anderson's business, who I've known for 30-plus years as a recruiter in college football, and he played at a high school in Tyler.
To give a little backstory on Michael Trigg, for people who may not know, he's transferred in to Baylor, and he had – I mean, just to paint it with a broad brush and not against the specifics, he had maturity issues at Ole Miss, I think was the thing. That's going to come up in the draft process anyway, but I totally understand Baylor coaches not wanting his name to be involved, because they're already going to, call up the people at Ole Miss and go, so this guy was a stud. Why couldn't you make it work out? And they're going to tell him. Brett Norsworthy, who works in Memphis, he's on Memphis radio, great friend of ours, told me a couple years ago when Baylor signed Michael Trigg, he said he does a lot with Ole Miss. He said everybody who knows Ole Miss is rooting for Michael Trigg because he's a good kid, a really good kid with a big heart, but he had maturity issues. And so I've always kind of kept that in the back of my mind. And then when this popped up, I kind of thought the same thing about that. But the bottom line is that, just in my opinion, just like Phil Bennett, the AD doesn't need to worry about these kind of things. These need to be kind of handled.
It's not his job.
Especially
that's the football staff.
Especially not on game day.
Yeah, I think it's an embarrassing situation for Mack Rhoades in particular. Can't be involved in stuff like this as the AD, much less the year that you're the chairman of the College Football Playoff Committee, because if it was Baylor, it would get attention just because they're used to being in the news for negative reasons. But you add on that he's the lead of the playoff, and now there's that much more attention on him. And supposedly the guy arranging the whole thing is now getting into dust-ups with players at his own school. Like, that's just a very bad look for the guy who's the chairman of the whole tournament. So it was a great honor, but this is a little bit of a black eye. Good news is that he's getting to stay on, and this will probably just be something that everybody moves on from eventually. I'll keep saying Ole Miss. You need to remember he was at USC before that. Like, this is his third school. That's not anything that's a negative mark against you, but, I mean, this is his third school, so he's moved around a couple of times now. I've definitely heard some he's a bit of a rough guy, or was in the past, or whatever. So I don't think that anybody was surprised that Michael Trigg was caught up in something either, is my point. So I think, wrong time, wrong place for Mack to approach him. And I'm sure Michael Trigg's not the type of guy. What I'm trying to say is that's just going to sit there and just take something for no reason. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of details missing. I don't think it's like the end of the world necessarily. It's just an embarrassing story for Mack Rhoades in particular. I think this as well, and y'all can agree to disagree or not. Maybe this is somewhat controversial. I think Mack Rhoades, if he's going to stick around and be the AD at Baylor, there's multiple things that could be pieces of advice. I think he needs to look at his inner circle. I think he needs to look at the people around him, because I think they're the ones that caused this to be a much bigger story, or someone or something. Maybe it was the Trigg family. I don't know.
No.
But I'm just saying, if I was Mack Rhoades, I would be wondering, like, why did this suddenly turn into what it turned into if we had apparently already handled it? It sounds to me like somebody wanted to make it a bigger deal, to look bad on him. So if I was him, that would be at least one of the 10,000 things on my mind right now.
Yeah, there's tentacles. There are tentacles, and you do have to wonder, because it kind of seemed like they had handled it. Apologies to Jared Anderson, apologies to Michael Trigg, and then it surfaced again, and you wonder if the Mason Miller story, which has nothing to do with anything other than the fact he got himself sideways himself, and you go, well, what's going on down there? Then you start having people go, what did you hear about this?
Well, and it's not the first time they've done that.
Michael Trigg was at USC. He was at Ole Miss. And the coaches even on staff have told me, if this would have been something that occurred maybe a year or two ago, or whenever it was when he arrived at Baylor, they would have said, yeah, maybe but he has come forever away and has become a guy that now has been trusted. And doesn't mean he's flawless and perfect, but it's just, the NFL, when people go to get scouted, and NFL players the NFL will know if you broke your toe in third grade. They will. So they're going to know everything here. But I have been told that Michael Trigg was kind of just caught in shrapnel here, that no matter the jersey or anything else written or whatever, that this thing could have been handled a lot better than it was.
Craig, I could not agree with what you said more. And look, there's a reason that this also popped up last week, is that if it had come out when it happened, a lot of people, even though like you could like in the story to be like, Rhoades is the chair of the CFP, the first rankings will be announced on November the 3rd or whatever it was, the 4th. A lot of that's out of sight, out of mind. But the minute he's on ESPN explaining the rankings, now all of a sudden people know who he is and what he looks like in the college football world. So you're certainly, if you're Outkick, you've kind of walked into a situation where like, well, this story is going to get more hits because 2 days before we release this guy's on TV telling us why A&M's defense wasn't better than Indiana's and all that.
And the college football world knows who he is. But I know what you meant by that. You wonder why, in fact, this wasn't released the day before or of the college football playoff rankings being released. But there's still a lot of unknown here. One part of what I was told about Michael Trigg, of course, he's from Memphis. He went to high school in Tampa. He came from a really nice place in Tampa. There was the thought about, well, was this the family? Depends on who you talk to. I do know that the quote in the paper in the articles that came out on Friday from Mr. Trigg about we just want to move on and look forward to the rest of the season and into the NFL, there was a thought there that, well, if you want to move on, why are you talking? Well, that's because he was asked a question by somebody about the incident. And so, of course, he's going to respond because that's his son.
I mean, I think given what he could have said, he actually was very mild and, did want to just move on from it and wasn't happy and let that be known and didn't agree with Mack Rhoades approaching his son and whatever happened. Because, again, there's fuzzy details and a lot of he said, she said. And this is somewhat confusing when you have the Mason Miller thing as well, and it's all like jumbled together, and it's like, no, it's separate, but it's all still very confusing, especially when combined together. So, I think Mr. Trigg, if he wanted to go off and really try to be harmful towards Mack Rhoades or blow this up even further, he probably could have done that, but I think he downplayed it and really did play it was messed up what happened, but it's not the end of the world, let's move on. But I think the part about it too was that a lot of the mention was that like Mack had never really interacted with Michael Trigg, so I don't know. That's when you get into the kind of like who said what and what's true or not. And we know that there's a lot of reporting that's just simply not true. But there was something to this, and it was a Friday news dump, which I know is something that people at Baylor have not experienced for a while, but were very used to once upon a time. So I think it brought back some bad memories there, and I just think ultimately it's just another weird story surrounding a program that's just floating out there with no real direction and no oomph to it at the moment. And you have not only this hot seat head coach and this program that's just in the middle of the road, but now you have like all these little things like a coach being fired out of nowhere and AD get into it with a player. And it's like, what the hell's going on down there? Like, and they got to get their ducks in a row, man. They got to clean this up and get some stuff figured out because the culture is not as good as it should be right now.
No, it does seem to be dysfunctional. And listen, I do think this, and Mack Rhoades is not going to listen to me, but I do think this. The university released at least a statement on the fact that they did look into this and whatever else. I do think it would be good for Mack Rhoades to release something too. Doesn't mean it has to be. I just think that wouldn't hurt.
I disagree, but that's okay. I mean,
the reason you could disagree, and someone told me this, well, then all you're doing is just like bringing it up again. But I think that would have been healthy initially. Let's put it that way. Not now, but initially, yeah.
At this point, it's too late. If he would have said something on Friday and dropped a statement or something, which I think their reaction was like a no reaction almost of like, we're aware and we've handled it and we've moved on, the typical generic, like wash our hands of this and put it to bed. That would have been the time to do it. But yeah, I mean, this point 4 or 5 days later, like it really wasn't that big of a deal. Like if you even looked at the interactions, like for a typical Baylor scandal story, like it paled in comparison to stuff from the past, and it's ultimately nothing in line with that kind of story anyways. But, I think the Friday timing made this less of a big deal because people just turned the page to the weekend. And so for that reason, I think it got out there. What needed to be talked about got talked about. And, at this point, it would be kind of foolish for Mack Rhoades to dig that back up. But on Friday, I can see what you're saying if he had said something.
Well, in one of the histories of the university, and listen, I'm not an alum, nothing like it. We just are here. We live in Waco. We cover things from Waco. But there have been times in the past where what they would do is just go into a bunker mentality. They didn't do that with the statement. The last thing you need to do is go into a bunker mentality. This is out there. The story's there. Maybe even try to be proactive with it. That would have helped a lot of other things maybe in the past as well. But it's there. Wanted to make sure we covered it as much as I could tell you, and also the opinions of both Craig and also Paul. Here's Dave Aranda earlier today with his weekly presser, which is about they have Utah coming in. These are the first three questions, and the third one is from me. And Bryce Cherry from the Waco Trib asked the first two.
Are you concerned at all about the reports of the last few days being a distraction for the team with Mack?
No, that's an HR deal. That's above my pay grade. Team's in a good spot. Energy-wise was really good. And focus-wise was good. Got big tests ahead of us. It's going to take our best to put up a challenge and get a win. I think they all recognize that, so we're excited for that.
How's your relationship with Mack right now?
Yeah, Mack and I have always had a good relationship. We've always been open and always talked. Has always had free access to say what needs to be said. I've always appreciated that.
Should the AD be that much involved in anything prior to a game or after a game?
Yeah, I just think all of those questions, I understand the interest in them. Our focus is just trying to get ready to play a game. This is just a huge game for us. This is a game we need to win. We're in an instance where, similar to last year, we have to win all the rest of these games, and the focus needs to be on 1-0 today and 1-0 tomorrow and 1-0 the next day, and stack those up so that we can get a 1-0 on Saturday night, And so very much for me, the focus is that. And, I think all of these things as they play out will play out however they play out. But, we have to win this game, and we have to play our best. This is a team that's embarrassed a fair amount of teams, and we're not looking to be that next team.
All right, that's Dave Aranda and his response to it, and I like his honesty. That's way above my pay grade. It's not really involving him, but does involve the player, and there was part of the story that Coach Aranda was upset about it. And I know that tight ends coach Jared Anderson was also the position coach for Michael Trigg. But so there we are. I wish we could have given you more, but I think that at least we tried to give you as much as we know at this particular time. When we come back, Paul Catalina and his top five, we have the wheel, and we have the quizzes and poll results. This is 365 Sports.
Something that will shake the big brand in the industry.
I just couldn't help myself. It tasted so good. It smelled so good.
I drink so much water now.
Number one, the best bang for your buck. Number two, we put out educational content. Number three, our customer service and sales team. Number four, we work to ship all orders out same or next day. Number five, reviews, let the games begin.
We set out to design a cap that could represent Boston. Blue collar, it's hardworking, it's loyalty, it's passion. I grew up with a group of friends where we're extremely tight-knit. All the people that you see on the ads are either my childhood friends or my brothers.
Introducing Carnal Beef Jerky. Crafted by our chefs using techniques honed in the finest Michelin-starred restaurants. Taste true luxury.
Extended vehicle warranties. Warranty providers have introduced a waiting period. This waiting period lasts for 30 days or 1,000 miles. Sign up on Chase today.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help.
Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome into Paul Catalina's Top 5 here on 365 Sports, brought to you by Flag and Anthem. The promo code's 365 Sports. You'll get a discount at checkout. You know what to do. G6 coaches that should be in the P4 Part 2. If you missed it yesterday, Part 1's just on the page, and you can watch that as well. Let's dive in. Number 5, Jason Eck at New Mexico wins everywhere he is. Only been in New Mexico for a year, but this guy is a coach. He was a coach in Idaho. He was a coach everywhere he was before that. The guy wins ball games. Hire him. I think he's the perfect candidate for UCLA, especially since he smacked their ass into oblivion earlier this year. Number 4, Jeff Monken at Army. Now, this one, he's got a really good job at Army. The coaches at Army, Navy, and Air Force, that is usually a very long-term job. So in today's coaching, you don't really want to give those things up. But I do think a school would be wise to hire Jeff Monken out there. He is a very, very, very good coach. He's had Army in a great spot the last few years. They continue to be good. They continue to be a tough out. I would consider Jeff Monken if I am a school in the power conferences looking to make a move up. Now, is he going to be a candidate for Penn State or Florida or LSU? Probably not. I think you do a great job anywhere he goes. But if you're Arkansas, I would consider him. If you are Virginia Tech, I would consider him. He's the kind of guy who can win pretty much anywhere he goes. And look, they're not going to be running the veer at the school he goes to. He runs that at Army because that's what you have to run at West Point. Number 3, Tyson Helton. If you've watched these top 5s, and when I talk about coaches on the rise, you know how big of a fan I am of Tyson Helton at Western Kentucky. Wide open offense, really great with quarterbacks, really great with transfer quarterbacks as well. He is someone who can come in and make your offense good right away. I think in the same way I think of Eric Morris, I think of Tyson Helton. So if you are looking for a coach like Eric Morris, but you don't get Eric Morris, guess who you can get? Tyson Helton. Very similar in what they can do with quarterbacks and offenses and make you better on offense right away. Number 2, Ryan Silverfield would be my favorite for the Arkansas job if I was on the committee. He just has to move right across the border. He knows the recruiting area well. He's been fantastic at Memphis, and you just cannot beat the results there. I also know, because I only had 10 of these, that I left out Alex Golish. Alex Golish would be, I should probably done a slash here to get them in or done a top 11, but I left Alex Golish out of this. As we get to number 1, we go to John Sumrall, who is almost certainly going to be an SEC head coach next year. He's going to be at LSU. He's going to be at Auburn. I doubt he's going to be at Florida because I don't think they want to go back to the G6. I think they want to take a bigger swing, but their options might be limited. But John Sumrall is a dude of a coach. He has an intense mindset. The defense is always legit no matter where he is, and he knows the area. He's an SEC guy. It's just a matter of time before he takes a job, and he's knocking people in the dirt in the SEC. Garrett is hoping that's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and hopefully they line things up and get a good coach there. That's going to do it for us. It's time for the Carnival, live from Bubba's 33.
All right. All right, Paul, thank you very much. Glad you did not have the microphone up 30 seconds ago.
No. I'm going to tell you, we were talking about Smokey being a terrible wingman back in my single days.
I'm not so sure I'm even good now.
Besides your alma mater, which college football team would you like to see win a championship?
Nebraska.
You're not a Nebraska alum.
No, besides your alma mater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an SFA, and they're like 8-2 right now with Kobe Carthel.
Yeah. Mine is easy. It's A&M.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's A&M.
Yeah.
I'll be so, if that happens, I'm not wrapping my head around it until it does.
You're going to do a keg stand.
No. I know that I will be overcome with emotion.
Yep.
Because of my dad and how much he wanted that. his whole life and never got to see it. He was born in 1942. They won in 1939.
Yeah.
So he grew up with tales of the 1939 team, and he passed away in 2015. And so if all of a sudden they're good, like, I know he's down there watching and enjoying it, but also I'm sure part of him is like, up there talking to like other, like John David Crow going, hey, what the hell, man?
Yeah. How come Charlie Kruger?
Yeah. And by the
Craig,
way, Charlie Kruger, lifelong friend of my dad's. They grew up
I
in the
know.
same street.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah,
Craig, the question was, other than your alma mater, which college football team would you like to see win a national championship? And I said Nebraska again, which would be their 6th. I don't think that'll happen before I die, but I know your alma mater is not Oklahoma, so that would be yours, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would there be another team on that list?
I don't even know what list we're talking about. I was in the bathroom.
Let's spin the wheel.
What team other than your alma mater would you like to see win a national championship?
Oh yeah, so then that would be by default. Yeah, like if I was rooting for somebody to just win a national championship, just I guess it would be Nebraska. Like, I'd like to see them win it. I'd love to see Matt Rhule win a natty. I don't think it's going to happen necessarily soon, but that was a great win for them this past weekend. There's a lot of things that I know we'll touch on tomorrow that we didn't have time to this week, but yeah, it'd be Oklahoma or Nebraska.
Yeah, that we were there for one in 95.
Just kidding. It would be your favorite team in the Big 12. UCF, BYU, Utah, Texas Tech, whoever fan.
The Dragon going suck-up mode. He doesn't. You don't do that. All right.
All right. Yeah, okay. Which company holds the title as the longest-standing current sponsor of a college football bowl game? Let's see. Coca-Cola, Capital One, Chick-fil-A, Allstate. Let's see. It was the Nokia Sugar Bowl for a long time.
Yeah.
And Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, I think it's Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A.
I don't even know how long any of those companies. I know Allstate's been around a long time, and so is Coca-Cola.
I mean, I'm fine. I have no clue whatsoever on this.
I would think it's Allstate, but then again,
it's Allstate or Chick-fil-A.
How old is Chick-fil-A? Here, let me look it up.
I mean, no, Chick-fil-A. I'm going to say let's go Chick-fil-A.
All right. There you go. You talked me out of the cliff. See, that's not very long.
Well, 90 is almost
30 years.
How quickly bowls change sponsors.
You know what? Back before, it was the Cotton Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl. There were no tie-ins. And FedEx like Orange Bowl now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Back in the day, it used to be just WrestleMania. Now it's Riyadh season presented by the Saudi corporate sponsors of
1996. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, in 1979, this California college's marching band, this is easy, performed with Fleetwood Mac on Tusk at Dodger Stadium and appeared in the music video. This is USC.
Yes, USC. They did this past weekend, right, Andrew? Yeah. I think they did, but it was, like the 30 or 40th anniversary of when they had originally done it, and God, who was it? Was it Mick Fleetwood that was talking about how he ran into the same band director from USC who, like, there's the video from like the 70s or 80s or whenever that original one was.
79.
Okay, 70. Yeah, I wasn't even looking. So in 79, there's the video out there of them practicing Fleetwood Mac with the USC marching band, and then they revisited that all these years later, and that same band director was there, and he apparently went to Mick Fleetwood and was like, thank you for making me famous. You made like my whole career based on when we did Tusk originally. Yeah. Because then people started coming to him for all sorts of stuff. So, Tusk recorded live at Dodger Stadium. Over 100 band members, a collaboration blended rock with college pageantry, and Fleetwood Mac even presented the band with a platinum record during a USC football game the next year. That's very cool. I will say, personally, I'm not much for Fleetwood Mac as they are most widely known, but I absolutely freaking love the original Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
I can get down with that any time of day. I love Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac. Not so much Fleetwood Mac as most people know it.
Yeah, I love Stevie Nicks too, but you know.
I want Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac, baby. Give me the blues.
Bringing this up, USC had a fake punt. They changed the number of a player, and the Big Ten came back and said, because somebody brought this up when we first started, should have been a penalty.
It should have been.
Should have been a penalty.
They acknowledged that it should have been a penalty. Yeah. They missed that.
But hey,
congratulations to Lincoln for sneaking one by him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sneaking one by him. Sam Hewart wearing number 80.
Yeah.
Okay. The poll, should the ACC and Big East merge into a super conference?
No.
Yes, a powerhouse news. No, too much shakeup. It doesn't do anything for the ACC football-wise at all.
Basketball, they're already pretty damn good, but that would add some.
They don't need each other in basketball.
No.
They don't need each other in
Okay,
basketball.
so I agree with 53%.
I think the ACC's got way bigger worries than blending together with the Big East. I think there's a lot of things to figure out in these next couple of years before they promote or go after a move like that. Now, maybe that's eventually something they would have to do if people start jumping off board. But for right now, no, I don't think that's a move that they should make.
All right, poll question number 2. Is Texas A&M the best team in the SEC right now? Yes, the resume is superior, 59%. I agree. They are tied with Bama, Georgia at 18%. And no, they haven't faced their best test. I mean, I could argue that they already have.
Well, that's clear the Texas fans voting.
Yeah, that's a lot of Texas. Like,
there was,
maybe Texas is their best test, but I think you could. I mean, that emotionally, yes, but like football.
They won at South Bend.
But they won at South Bend. I mean,
Notre Dame and Texas are kind of splitting hairs.
Yeah.
Like that's not teams that are very far apart.
I don't know if you saw this or not, but there was a little flare up, and again, it's all in fun. But there were some tweets about how Texas is about to play Georgia for the third time in less than 18 or 20, whatever months it is. And they were kind of aiming that at
A&M. You mean 12 months?
Yeah. And they were aiming, that's exactly. They were aiming at that Georgia and A&M have played like once since they joined the SEC. And I don't know what. A&M's played Alabama since that time like 12 times with Saban there most of the time.
Well, I'll tell you what, Oklahoma doesn't want to hear Texas' scheduling complaints based on the last 2 years of the SEC.
Yeah. Okay.
But, yeah, I did see some of that as well. And you know what? I mean, if you look at A&M's schedule, there was Notre Dame. But LSU was a top 20 win. Not anymore.
No.
Missouri was 22. They're flailing now with no Prebula. And then that only leaves on their schedule. Like, those are the only 3 ranked teams they played. And then number 11, Texas, and they may be in the top 10 by the time they play or not. They could lose to Georgia and drop. But, I mean, if you look at it from that point of view, like, they're not far off because it might be that Texas is the best team they play.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think you're splitting hairs between Notre Dame and Texas right now. But we'll see when they play Texas who Texas is.
Notre Dame was 8th. LSU was 20th. Missouri was 22nd. And Texas will be in the top 10. Well, they got to beat Georgia.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, that's right. They played Georgia, which turned out to be, I thought Georgia was kind of like just a funk. They kind of seemed like they went up a notch against
I think you should get bonus CFP points for getting a coach fired in Death Valley on a night game.
That should be a game and a half. I still wonder about what is the correct way. Your record against teams when they were ranked when you played them or what they're
where
ranked?
they are now.
Or where they are now?
Yeah, the only problem with that, though, is that if you played a team who had, you had a guy who they were legitimately a top 10 team when you played them, but now they've lost 6 because the quarterback got hurt.
Yeah.
Like,
that
was a legit win when you played them. It's not a legit win now, but that's where.
I think there's nuance.
There is very much nuance, which is not.
That's why they have a committee.
It's not what you can find a lot of in conversations on social media, so that's why it kind of gets drowned out.
Not smart ones, no. All right. Thank you very much to Andrew Valade. Logan, what's his last? Bostic?
Bagessi. Did an intern project for me today, and it's the best I've ever seen our mic cables rolled up.
No, that's because he learned from the best. And Garrett Ross. Thank you, Garrett. Appreciate you, Brandon. Craig and Paul, thank you so much. A new week is here and a great weekend headed up, but we still have more to look back and forward. I'm David Smoak. Thanks for your time. Good night, 365 Sports.